Hello everybody, welcome back again to Sun and Moon. Today is Monday the 7th of August, and today so far on the Hangout we have Turquoise Dragon, we have Patricia UK, or you're from the UK as well, Turquoise Dragon, Series from Holland, Chris from Canada, and others are going to join. So hello everybody.
Good evening everyone.
Hey, and just at the right moment there for going on live, we have Stan Smith with us. Hello,
Hi.
Stan.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Hello. No, we've just started, so don't worry. And we're waiting for Jeremiah to join us. He said he'd be on in a minute. So anyway, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Stan, and Turquoise Dragon as our guests. So, very quickly, I'll ask, Turquoise Dragon, what have you been doing today?
Time lapsing. I'm still doing it now, pretty much. Just getting the nice, the last of the light from getting some nice sunsets up here. I've in a different location, so it's always nice to have a different perspective on it. You know, different hills, different everything. Pretty much, yeah. Edit my time
video
lapses
as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I've been I don't have internet at my house, so I basically just like edit them and all, and then when I have internet access, I've got like 10 maybe to upload at once, so I'm in the process of that. But yeah, just researching basically, just drawing, a lot of drawing. Love my geometry.
Yes, I think this group loves geometry, don't you guys? Don't you, Chris and Series?
No, yeah.
Oh, indeed, yeah.
Completely into it here.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that the general field of geometry and mathematics, it tended to go more toward the mathematical expression side, but now it seems we're getting back into vectors, which involves more geometry. So there's a period there in physics and things when it switched more or less just the pure numbers without the actual diagrams. So I'm glad to see people are getting back into the geometry.
The actual visual part of it.
The actual physical, the visual physical, projections. Yeah, because I understand the geometry a lot more than I do the, just numbers and languages that, because if you can make up your own mathematical language and use any symbol you want, and then try to explain that to someone else, and they have to convert it into what they understand, and it just makes a whole mess of,
It's universal language. That's what it is. Just like music or art, it can be expressed through multiple cultures without any kind of loss of information. I mean, there is a core to every symbol. There's meanings and whatnot. There's reasons for certain shapes to be applied everywhere. It's unavoidable geometry once you start seeing it.
Yeah, and you'll find that there's just the three basic shapes. Right? Everything's built from them, essentially.
Well, that's the Holy Trinity.
Oh, sorry, Turquoise. Carry on.
No, I'm just saying it's the Holy Trinity. The base structure, the strongest, the first shape ever created, basically. The first one to kind of be formed, and it's the most stable. Well, without being polarized, but that's another thing.
Could I just say there's a little bit of echo coming back from you, by the way, Turquoise Dragon?
No, it's not an echo, it's a background sound.
I think it's he's banging near his speaker or something.
Yeah,
there's always got to be something every hangout. We just hear something coming back from you.
My gain was on full. Should be okay now. I'll just keep muting every time I've finished.
Sorry. What about you, Stan? Are you into geometry?
Not like Turquoise Dragon is, no.
Have you seen his new video today?
No, not yet. I do watch his time lapses though, because I'm into my time lapses too. So I do know of Turquoise Dragon.
There you go, Turquoise.
Yeah, it's always good to, like you say, get another perspective.
So what made you, Turquoise, put your that one out today on geometry then? You're just so keen that everybody understands geometry.
I think I've just got bored of the flow of life. I think that's just like as it is. There's more to geometry than just that six-petaled shape that all the new age stuff is full of. It's pretty much half of the information. Pretty much half of the information is out there, and half of it's for you to learn, or the occult, or whatever you want to call it. So I think that they're not going to, this whole sacred geometry and whatnot, it's pretty, and it shows you, it doesn't really show you how things are created. And from what I've been looking at, even our very words and the way they're like glyphs, symbols, they're all made through geometry. And they've got like a meaning and reasons why, really. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, and you get when you get into one thing, you realise it's so much deeper than just a subject. You have to start learning everything about it, don't you?
Yeah, it kind of unfolds itself though. Pick up a compass and a piece of paper, and you're going to start learning straight away. You're going to figure out the most simple of kind of things, really, like correspondence. Like why when I draw a circle and I keep applying the compass to the first circle I've drawn, why does it make a hexagon? Why is it what's making that six like petal thing? What, you know, there's some laws behind things that we're not really realizing.
Have you looked into the formation of like the Amorc alphabet and Paleo Hebrew that develops directly from triangles and or
and the Nordic runes too? They work off the hexagon.
Hexagon, yeah. So it seems to be the same idea that goes all the way back to some very early languages that were. Which is why we didn't have like the J and the U and so forth. We ended up having like a V in Latin. So Latin was based on the same geometrical forms, right? So, yeah, the circle. I think when the circle was introduced as part of the languages came later on, and we ended up with O's, like the O sounds, and J's and U's and things. But that came later on. Originally, it was more square, like, you know, more of a straight line type of language forms.
This is it's really bad. You don't really learn any of this at school, do you? You're only learning it now.
Yeah. Well, some of the earliest languages were based on, from what I understand, were based on actual waves that were formed in water and different things. Like if you scream into a tube and you have, you know, basically you have a tube that's just a long pipe, you know, like the what's the one I'm thinking of, like a didgeridoo type of thing, or like the long horns, the empty horns. That would be more Holland, like the horns across the valleys. If you put water on a membrane on top of that and then make a sound in it, the wave that makes is, I think, some of the old languages were formed just by copying the sound makes the wave, and you just make the shape of the wave to represent that sound, right?
It's like construction, almost like if you get two ripples and they kind of like from left to right and they intersect in the middle, it's a constructed interference. Basically, you create a third, like a Vesca Pisces almost. You want the two circles overlap with the diameters equal. You get like the eye shape, or the fish, or the womb, or whatever name you want to give it. That's the start of geometry, you know, one circle interacting with another one. The Russian language is a good one too, because they have letters and stuff they don't even use anymore. They don't even know how to pronounce them. It's all to do with the interaction of these toruses. It's pretty interesting. I'll try and whip up an image for you.
Rod, did you say you're going to find a couple of pictures for us?
Yeah, I've got them. I won't be.
Does it make a difference now you understand all that? Because, you know, we can all take pictures, can't we? We can all do things. But when you get more deeply into it, I don't know, does it make you look at things differently now? Again? Oh, Anthony's turned his,
Sorry.
yeah.
background noise will be 2 seconds. 1 second. 2 1.
Okay. Well, I know it's made Stan change his mind using his piece of equipment, hasn't it, Stan? Your 360-degree camera.
Yeah. Well, you know, you always start off trying to do something and you end up doing something else.
I was just like looking at some of your videos. I was just absolutely shocked to see how low the clouds were most of the time. It almost actually looked like they were just skimming over the top of the roof. Maybe they were a bit higher than that, but it didn't really look much higher than the roof of the house.
Yeah, they're not very high. There's like layers up there. You see a lot of layering. The lower layer is really low, you know. Really low.
Is it? I don't know. These things still shock me. They probably shouldn't shock me, but I just get a bit shocked when we get a bit of news. Like we had quite a heavy moment when you were on talking about that because it was making me think. Right, I was thinking even more things. We had a heavy moment on the hangout, I think.
Yeah, I can do that.
It's a bit more. No, not something else. No more, please. No more.
Well, as well, Chris, I've got some sort of news about the eclipse. We've managed to make the shadow go the right way now in the model.
Right. Yep.
But it's still not.
Still not right.
No, it's still not right. There's still loads of problems. But yeah, we've been playing and playing. Well, Z's been playing and playing. Yeah,
that's
about
the
fourth render now.
Yeah, that's the trick, right? When you get the distances to scale, and the moon moves according to the helium model, like on its elliptical orbit, just 2 degrees, then the shadow will pass the entire distance of 12,740 kilometers across the face of the globe in their globe model, which represents the 12 hours. So 2 degrees equals 12 hours of travel in the shadow, but you have to counter rotate your 90 degrees because it's supposed to last for roughly 6 hours. It's 5 hours and 20 minutes or something. So roughly 90 degrees of backspin, while both the moon and the sun move. That would be, I guess it'd be east-west essentially around the sun. The other direction, roughly a quarter to a half a degree. I think it's like 0.33 some odd degrees over 5.5 hours, right? And when I do all that, it's like, well, the shadow almost stands still, right? It certainly doesn't move quite as far as they're showing it in the model. So yeah, there's problems even when you get the shadow according to their numbers going backwards, going the west east, which is doable. I mean, it will work. But even when you get that right, the scale, it just creates problem after problem. You end up trying to correct it to infinity, right?
Yeah.
And light doesn't travel that far anyway, especially in a vacuum. The physics is all wrong.
It doesn't work. You wouldn't even see the moon, really, would you? If it was...
Well, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. No, the human eye can't see that far to begin with, and
it's just a problem after a problem after a problem, and it's like, I don't know where it's going to stop, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of redundant trying to model it because the whole thing fails right from the ground up, right? I mean, even the hot iron core of the planet in the globe model can't hold a magnetic charge. So what's the point of even trying, right? The whole thing just falls apart.
Yeah,
so
it all has to work. That's what we keep saying, doesn't it? And the ball doesn't work really anyway.
Yeah,
I don't feel no spin.
Yeah.
You're definitely not going to feel a spin.
No. Yeah, I looked hard. I looked really, really hard into the physics because I'm into the geometry too, right? The actual geometries of like magnetite and crystals that form crystal lattice. Because when we model it out from the very smallest of atoms and fields and magnetic fields that we can find, it starts to use the phi ratio because you'll get magnetite which can form these perfect little I guess what would you call them, is icosahedrons, and different shapes that are the actual primary shapes, right? Plate platonic solids, and perfect cubes made out of magnetite with just one little corner knocked off of it, and they're all the same, right? Because that's the way the magnetic field makes magnetite form in different elements. So the basic geometry, once you start scaling that up, right, because you compile a whole bunch of cubes and icosahedrons into a material that has, billions of icosahedrons in the material itself, well, the entire magnetic field that it creates follows the same pattern, just, hundreds of trillions of times bigger, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so simple. It's beautifully simple and incredibly, insanely complex, right? It's that simple, that it's almost too hard to understand, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Phi to the -5, right? It's 1/phi cubed, but it's all phi, right? It's all based on phi.
Yeah, something I'd have to sit down with it, go back over all that stuff. I knew it once, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's like anything.
So yeah, I think you'll
refresh
find.
And you're back on it.
I think you'll find in your 360 video that the arc links and stuff, when Z proxies, taking it into the 4D reality programs and stuff, that phi arc will be a ratio of phi, no matter where you put it, every time. Relative to where you are on the ground looking up with your 360, you'll have 360 over phi to the -x will give you that arc perfect every time.
Yeah, that pops up everywhere, doesn't it? So it's in everything.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in everything, yeah.
Yeah.
What other problems did Z proxying you discover from your end on the 4D?
Well, it's sort of going the right way, but like you can't see the moon if you put it at the correct distance. So we've had we're using a distant moon's shadow, but a close moon just for visual. There's like an invisible moon on there that's the real moon, but you can't see it 30 Earth spaces away from the Earth. But it's just there's still problems. You have to watch it. I'm just in the middle now of re-editing a video. Just don't like putting out wrong information, so I've taken down the other ones that we had up, and I'm just sat here now clicking buttons and chopping bits and adding bits. But yeah, it's still not right. There was an eclipse today, and
oh yes,
Cosmic Surfer got some of the lunar eclipse today. It was only partial.
I forgot about that.
Oh, I was looking and I was like, no way, I'm just not going to see it. It's not even going to be visible in my sky. It's literally just coming up now. So yeah, there was no way I was going to see that. I was devastated.
I saw that yesterday. But yesterday, who was it that said? I think it was. Oh, who was it? Can't remember which member it was now. Said that it would be about a week or two before the other one that you're doing now. That's when this one happens. The moon one happens, and then the sun one happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2 weeks from now, isn't it, I think?
Dun dun dun. Stan, do you reckon they're going to let us see it?
I don't know. They won't let me see it. They don't let me see anything up there anymore. My sky's just horrendous today. Like,
there'll never be any more people this time round going to be taking pictures of it and films of it with P900s.
yeah, hopefully everyone gets out there. Hopefully we get lots of 360 stuff as well. That'd be the key.
Yeah.
Seeing what happens with that. Someone's bound to be out there, just whether or
Please,
not.
please, please get it this time. What about you, Turquoise? Turquoise Dragon, are you going to be filming it?
Muted.
Anthony? Where's Anthony?
Done a runner.
No, I think he's still posting stuff on Facebook. He probably went to look for something and then do something else now.
Yeah, someone collared him. That's what normally happens to me. I'll just go and do that, and then an hour later I'm back.
So, I was saying, do you think they'll let us see this? Do you think they'll cause something so we can't see it?
If they do, there'll be a lot of angry people, won't there? There's a lot of people spent a lot of money to go and watch it. And it is all really weather dependent, isn't it?
Yeah, there's people traveling from all over the world to go to stay. You know, it's a huge tourism event for the U.S. for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
quite a lot of the US is being covered, isn't it, by it?
Yeah, they might block it out. You just never know, do you?
Because how are they going to hide this one?
They just chem the sky, put a blanket over it. It's not hard for them to put a blanket over the sky, is it? They do it practically every day.
Yeah. Oh. So do you think we're going to get a good day, a cloudy day? I bet it's cloudy, so you can't see much. So you'll see the darkness, but you won't be able to see it because it'll be cloudy.
We'll have to just wait
it's
and
August.
see.
Look at our weather. It's terrible.
Yeah, we haven't had much of the summer.
Yeah,
it's quite miserable and cold out there, and it's raining. And
how's your weather now, Chris? Are you still getting lightning, or has that calmed down now?
Well, the lightning, it's gone through a couple of times, and I think that was related to the electric circuit, right? With basically which would be solar going to ground, right? Plasma. There's a plasma energy discharge that came in and took out most of. Well, it affected, I think, from Nova Scotia all the way into Quebec, and we lost power here locally for 3 hours or so, and 911 was down. It wasn't very good at all. And we're also seeing obviously it's a record cold, right? On average.
Yeah, that's what I said to my mate. I was like, it's coldest summer on records, apparently.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's still cold here today. Last night it was so cold I thought it might actually. It felt like snow was coming, to be honest with you. It's like, wow, this is cold for just the 1st of August. And I'm looking out the back window there at the corn crop. I've been kind of keeping an eye on that to see how the farmers are going to do, because they're only about 3 feet high, and they, this is August, right? So corn should be a lot higher than that this time of year, in my opinion. I think.
Yeah, they got to get it in as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
It's never much fun.
So who's excited about this eclipse then?
It'll be interesting to see what happens, definitely. If their predictions are right.
Yeah, they can one thing from an actual model and then tell us something else about the model where it's coming from. So we will figure out how they do it. Yeah, the math is right. Yeah. When you inverse the math, yeah, it's still right. I mean, if you actually know the cycles and how the frequencies work and how the whole clock is actually working, yeah, then anything can be predicted through the clock by turning the clock. And then also you have this particular positioning on the Earth in where things turn, and this is where the computer part comes in how they actually can position this. There's a government website, a military website, where I can actually request the whole whole year around of the sun and moon rise and set of a particular GPS location. And
Yeah.
I can actually
Brian's got that. There's a bloke called Brian. He showed me that. He showed me that before, and then I am very interested in that.
Yeah, and from that I can actually create a visual map of all the arrows of where you see it out of every location of the whole map, and then animate how the light is actually flowing through the map. The sun and
yeah, because they've got sun and the moon rise set location. It's been taken every sort of 10 minutes, hasn't it? They've taken a location and elevation.
Because it's every time out of your time zone, it's hard to keep track of the moon. So yeah, maybe it's handy to have a trackable set of data, so you can actually see when and where and etc. Same as time and day, but just out of this particular data set of what they can predict year after year after year. I can just put in a year, and I get for the whole year every day the particular rise and set of the sun and moon.
Yeah.
From a location.
Yeah, we'll have to sit down one evening, like offline, and plot that all on some maps and have a proper look at that series. And you, Chris, is right. You know, all get together and have a proper long look at that. A long, boring look, I think.
Hey, we have Martin with us just to say hello, Martin.
Yeah, I'm Martin.
As the siren goes fucking past. What's happening, people?
Hey.
Oh, you're right. You, is it?
Yeah, man. Good. Oh, good.
Sorry, Martin. Obviously, we've got Chris.
Oh, yeah.
You've met Chris before. Series. We've got Patricia, Stan Smith, and Turquoise Dragon, who I think is just doing something at the moment. But happy Monday to you, Martin. I don't know how long you're staying, Martin. Are you going to stay for a little bit? Or
I've been scheming all night and trying to catch up on my life. Like Monday's a fucking carnage for me, Karen. But it's a lot been going on. I got a lot to catch up with. You haven't seen Gary about, have you, by chance?
Gary, I was just messaging Gary. He was away last week.
I have emailed him. Well, I had concerning this radio interview tomorrow night, mainstream radio interview. I had a Skype with the producer yesterday. Nice chap. And I asked him, would it be okay if I did a shout for up and coming FE conference? Sort of a free ad, isn't it? So he's like, yeah, no problem. Talk about whatever you want. I'm like, well, I will then. So I don't know how much, just, you know, what sort of context to say, you know, to play it. But obviously it's a free ad, and there's going to be a lot of years on that. It's not going to be 100 people.
I'll text Gary for you now, okay?
I have texted him. I got that, you know, basically, my question is this. Do I mention this? Because is it set in stone? Which is that?
Further Amsterdam, yeah.
You know, I've mentioned Birmingham one because that's happening, but like the later one, you know, do I chuck that out there as well, just to get it in tension, like, you know? I'm organising a flat stock. I decided today I thought, well, that's definitely in my capabilities. If that, you know, back in 1969, this, apart from Winston Churchill's granddaughter, this other, you know, sort of hippie beatniky guy decided that he'd start a festival out in the countryside. Michael Eavis, ex-merchant seaman, same as myself, but he had a farm. But he made it to the biggest music festival on earth, Glastonbury. Now, I thought, well, that's a brilliant little thing he done there. Like, you know, when he based it, you know, in the ATCND and on the peace, you know, when he, in the 60s on the peace movement. But I thought, well, that could work. You know, that could be like a flat stock. That would, even with that name, that's going to definitely get people there. And instantly, people are coming up with ideas, suggestions for bands that can play. I only said it today. I already phoned. No, I'm not kidding you.
Sounds good.
I already phoned Butlins, Minehead, today, this afternoon I did, because they got like facilities and a big campsite. So I asked them, what if like a couple of thousand of my people turned up? Would that be okay? Right? And a stage and music and basically a festival. I don't really know. And then she started talking about their conference facilities. Oh, you do conferences? Well, I didn't want to go into, well, there's a conference up and coming. I didn't really want to go, you know, I didn't want to get it contrived and bounce it around. So we cut it dead because it was like 10 to the hour. I'm going to phone them back because apparently they got toilets, showers, and the rest, and a really big campsite.
See,
but
I mean, before Gary knows it, Gary's got like loads of conferences to do.
Yeah, it's just going to take off. I know it is. It's on the brink, the Effie. I just know it is. I just know for a fact. Like this meets now. To my mind, I always see ahead. You see. Now, how many was there at Lem? Was somewhere in the region of 100 max, but 80 constantly, but you know, about 20 come and go in, right? So to my mind, that is not a great jump to get thousands. That's just not. It's really not. And there are that many people on this island, flat Earth, now. So all it needs is people to know about it and be promoted in the right way. Like this mixer I'm organising in Cardiff Bay. Got Mark Sargent putting a post out for it. So that's going to be handy. So get eyes on it, get people. Because I want to scare the shit out of the public. Look how lovely we all were, right? Now, if we can do that on a bigger scale and show people, wow, look, like this is something to aspire to, you know, how to be. That would work. That would trickle out into the consciousness.
Can I just say something? That day, that vibe in Leamington Spa was really nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you don't get it in ordinary life. You had a similar sort of buzz years ago in Glastonbury. You know, this free, you know, be yourself and not have to worry around people who are like-minded, but not quite the same. And we were all the same, on the same vibration. You don't have to worry about anything. Nobody's going to bug you or, you know, be in your face or just annoy you. Just none of that. Absolutely zilch bad buzz the entire day from beginning to end. And you'd only get that on flat earthers. I come back.
We were so happy all to be together.
You're stressed by it again, you know, Karen, the way that their paradigm is set up. It's sort of like, you know, I rise above because I know, but it still affects you. Like, it's like because you're on globe people believing in cartoons and willing to fight, you know, hammer and tongue for these cartoons.
Do you think also it was about being in the public, no one hassling us, no one being rude to us, and actually being able to stand there with a banner and nobody's going, ooh, boo, or no police coming up. Nobody annoyed us.
No, we had a police presence guarding us, making sure there was nothing going down. Not that there would be. So yeah,
thank goodness.
But that can happen on a bigger scale, you know, because all of us flat earthers are like really discerning. So if they sent anyone in to infiltrate, to basically, we would notice them straight away because a flat earth got a certain look about them. And if they were there to cause trouble or maybe start on a flat earther, maybe a prominent flat earther, you know, somebody who's like Shellye by nature and coming in to start a fight, that could happen. You know, so there's another verse that we could like sort of weed them out in a second, boom, like that, no problem. You know, so we got that covered, infiltration covered. This is a hard thing for them, the powers that should not be, to infiltrate right now because we're tight and we know what's around us and we can feel it because we got a thing called intuition and senses. And my spidey senses start tingling when something doesn't fit. Okay, and I got, you know, a real sense for it, and so I got to be aware, you know, that we're juggling with the paradigm of society, the fabric of society, nothing less, guys. So you think that the services don't watch? You think they don't play? Really? No, this is the real thing. This is the altering the fabric of society, the next stage for humanity, and people know it in their soul. They know it's true. So this flow is on the, you know, on the plane scale. It's this awakening is happening. Even not flat earthers, people are just awakening, just waking up and just realizing.
Yes, wake up,
just waking up to the scam and basically their enslavement for this paper. You know, that paper that dictates whether you live or die on the plane. It's ridiculous. How can paper enslave you? It's made up. It doesn't even exist. It's ridiculous paradigm. Got to go. And everybody wants the same. You know, they play in these dialectics on the television, and you know, if it's not on the telly, it's not true. Where you know they got nation against nation, they're playing peoples against people. Everyone's falling for it through religious dogma and social conditioning. But we got to show them, guys. We got to explain how it works, how the social conditioning goes down. All of how they play the dialectics with basically the false flags and the foods and the waters and what they hide and what they don't tell us about who we truly are, and the secret about water and the secrets about, you know, sacred geometry, the whole thing about our vibrational qualities.
Martin,
we can change it all.
Do you know Stan really well? There's another thing as well. Stan, your 360-degree camera. Tell Martin what you see up there.
See rainbows.
It's a clue to it. I don't know what it is. It's a clue to it. It's a clue to it all. Rainbows, I think, is a planet.
That's what the sky is. It's just rainbows.
Yeah, man.
You can't triangulate the sky. It's rainbows, you know.
What? It's reflecting the light spectrum in it, is it? In the.
I'm not sure how it's really working, but it's, yeah, you're seeing a rainbow basically.
Dee postulated a little while back, a Turner Padawan, that he thinks when you take a photograph of a rainbow, you only see half of it, and it actually is a whole circle.
It is. The other bit's in the ground. You just can't see it. When you come up out of the ground.
I never knew that until he said.
When you lift up, say if you get on a helicopter or something, go up in the air, you'll see the other half come out of the ground. You know?
Is that so?
Yeah, but that's what the sky's doing. It's exactly the same. Yeah. It's moving with you.
Yeah,
I think it's a creature of all. Definitely. I really do. I really do. The rainbows are really something else, aren't they? They're beautiful as well.
That's how we started watching rainbows in 360. We were like, what is going on? And then we were watching moving rainbows. You know, from a moving object, you know, rainbow light. And it's just crazy.
I'm going to start photographing them. I want a P900 badly.
Just get a 360, Martin. They're so much better. They really are. They're cheaper.
What, Nikon 360?
No, just I've got a Panoview. It's a cheap Chinese 360, and I've got a Samsung 360 as well.
Is it really? Because I was looking at them last night, and there was a 360 in my local area on Gumtree, and they wanted 3,500. And I thought, well, Christ, that's a big chunk under the price.
Oh, mate, I paid 70 quid for my Panoview.
Really?
Brand new off of eBay. Check it out on eBay. They're Chinese.
Oh, what, brother? What is a Panoview?
Yeah, it's a Panoview. The first one I got, it was just a single lens, cheap one, and then the second one I've got a Samsung Gear 360, and you can pick them.
I got a Fujifilm FinePix X, which has got 26 times zoom, but it don't record like the zoom. It don't go like full zoom while you're recording the same way as a P900 do to record, and I don't like that. I want to be able to record and zoom out to these great.
Yeah, you need a P900 as well, man. Really, because just for that zoom factor. But they are a lot of money.
That's why I want to do like.
And they're a lot of work as well. You know, with your
4,500.
Yeah, with your 360 camera, you put it down, you push record on a time lapse, and then you leave it. I leave mine on my roof for a week at a time.
I want to do that.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Go with this. You can do time lapse for this, but you've got to plug it into the laptop for power, right? With the HDMI, and because the batteries will just die overnight, obviously.
I leave mine plugged in all the time. My 360. Yeah. I've got a lead running up to the roof, a waterproof lead, and I've modified a waterproof housing, and it's just. I can show you everything though, Martin. Like we can get together offline, have a little chat, and I'll show you how to do it if you're really interested.
I want to do it. I caught my first star trails back about 2 months ago. I left it on the tripod, and I left it for about just under 3 hour exposure. I caught them first time ever. I got the photo. It was beautiful. So I was chuffed with that. Yeah. I want to get a real proper, you know, like.
Yeah, the P900's not really good for doing stars. You have to trick it. It's a real. It's not a very good camera, to be honest. Like it's only good for zoom.
I know. I heard. It's not that good. It's just that zoom now, about 86.
The
Anyway,
360, you won't get the star.
No, why
Because I've got a cool kicks stand, and it, you know, like someone said, "Oh, you just point and click." You can't point and click. Well, you can on a couple of settings, but most of the time you've got to set the camera up, know which setting you want. There's loads of settings. It's an art using a camera.
Is there?
Yeah, well, there's three. There's me, Z-Poxy, and Cosmic, and we've all got the same cameras. So if one of us don't know, the other one knows how to do something, and we're still learning how to use it now. Someone to say, "What about this?" You know, and yeah. But they are a lot of work because you have to drag it out, pick it up, you know. Whereas your 360, like I say, you put it down, you leave it for a week, and then you go back, you take the card out, and you upload everything, and you've got your whole moon and your sun tracking on that for that. You know, it's just so easy.
Just ask Turquoise Dragon, what do you have?
Yeah, it's a P900.
Yeah, P900.
You've got a P900. What do you think about what Stan says then?
He's right about the stars. When I first got into the whole something's up, especially the stars. When I saw it through the P900 to start with, I was really shocked and impressed, obviously, like most are. And then I come to realize that they're all out of focus, if you know what I mean. Where you can pretty much make every light source that hexagon, like wavering, watery kind of image from any distance.
Yeah, but have you done Saturn?
Oh man, oh.
That looks right. That's right though, isn't it? So I don't get what's going on with my camera, man. I look at Saturn and it's Saturn, and then I look at the star and it does like you say there.
I can do Saturn with my camera, you know, get a good view of it. It's just a bright elliptical. That's all you ever see, even with the best of them. All you're ever going to perceive.
Lens anomaly last night. I don't know if it was just the camera trying to focus or something, but you might have seen the kind of footage before. It looks like an angel or something. When you've seen a it's almost.
Yeah,
like,
I've seen it.
But when I refocus or I hold the button to kind of take a shot, like the camera kind of reforms it basically into another shape.
Yeah.
But it seems to always go back to the octahedron. Like it's I don't know if that's just to do with how the sensor works and converts.
Well, if you look up like a hill or something, and it gets a focus, and then you look down, if you're going to cross water, it seems to get, you know, the coast better. I seen on a video a couple of days ago. Can't remember who done it. A guy I'd never seen before, actually. He had 11 subs, and it was really, really good views across the Norwegian fjord, 20, 30 mile away, right up on the coast. Just the wet bit where the water was trickling. It was that clear. It was absolutely brilliant. I'd love to do some of them. Real proofs.
I don't know if you saw it, Martin, but I pretty much almost took a shot of around where you live. I saw the mountains in South Snowdon and all around that area.
That's not near me, brother. That's North Wales. That's another part of the world. Oh man, I've seen Snowdon once from the sea going past. That's it.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. I thought I was seeing Snowdon. I checked out how far Snowdon was. It was 88 miles. I thought, wow.
Yeah.
I can't be seeing that. I mean, it's maximum 1,000 altitude for Snowdon, and I'm roughly 200-300. So I shouldn't really be seeing it.
The weather.
I'm kind of in the process of working stuff out, especially with what I saw. It seems, it's just quite crazy. You know, like I don't know, seeing further. I think that the lensing of the atmosphere.
It is. It's the weather. It depends on the weather. It's crystal clear, the sky. You can get. There's just, you know, we got the Severn Bridge from where I live is it's like 40 odd mile away or 38 miles. And yeah, I've seen it loads from the end of Penarth Pier where I live years ago. I never thought nothing of it. You know, we used to say, shit, the Severn Bridge there, all that way away. You know, I know. Never thought nothing of it back then.
Well, I can see Weymouth. You know, across the Solent. It's like, oh, right. You shouldn't be able to see that. Not from it.
But just guys, remember this and don't let it like fix your belief that just because you ain't seeing a curve doesn't mean it's flat. Just saying. You know, from our limited perspective or our, you know,
it's no spinning ball, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm quite.
No, but we were looking at a flat plane all our life, but just didn't realise it. Or some of us did. Some people knew from children And some
there's
people
water everywhere.
Teenagers, some people knew in their 20s, and a big wake up happened in 2016.
You know, Karen, a lot of people are flat earthers. They're not actually on the internet, and like you say, they've been flat earthers a lifetime. Ace McLeod met a load of people. He was doing a community service or something. 3 of them were flat earthers, and they had been for like 20 years. They just knew the heliocentric model never worked. Somebody had told them, you know, and they looked into it and it's like, oh shit, yeah, it's rubbish. So not everyone is flat earther online. There are a lot of flat earthers that have been into academia. They walk through a library and they've come across Winslip or Carpenter or Abazad. You know, they've come across these literatures, the cosmologies and the cosmodities, and they've read them and they know is what's happened. Literature before this has only been around since the 90s, guys, and flat earth has been around since, you know, this time around the 1800s. Came out again in the 70s, but psyoped. But this is the true one, the big one. This is the big awakening.
That's right, man. You just got to look at
what
the
it can't stop.
cosmologies, man. We say these ancient civilizations, these people were primitive. You know, that's the kind of the way we're educated, to show like a linear progression of a timeline from very, very primitive to us now as the peak of the pinnacle. When I believe it's rise and fall, I believe it's like a...
Yeah, you've only got to look at their buildings.
That's it, man.
You know, go back 200, 300 years, look at what they were building. Now look at what we're building. We've gone backwards.
Yep.
You know? It's like they almost had CNC machines that cut stone, you know?
I think they had CNC machines, but I think it's more with the melting of the stone, especially in Baalbek, or not Baalbek, not Machu Picchu. I'm thinking Pumapunka. These razor cut stones that look like they've been melded together by being melted. Now, there's a technique called deaggregation, which is a technique of a load of lenses which intensify the sunlight, which can and does break stone, but that's not it, because you can't put a head on it or a piece of paper. So I think that they had, like this guy who was in Coral Castle, something to do maybe with the power of the pyramids, something to do with who we are, and I think they levitate this shit. There is evidence that a lot of these megaliths, you know, by that guy Wise Up, he says that he got evidence that they're all basically petrified wood covered by a covering in mud, which makes it look like stone. Now he shows evidence that's quite thought-provoking. I've got a burial chamber out here in the Vale of Glamorgan called Tinkin's Wood. It's about 5 miles away. Easily visited, where you got a giant capstone which weighs about 100 ton on top of 3 others. There was a dozen babies in there, humans in fetus position, dead. They're in the Welsh Museum. But you look at it and you think, well, there's no way in a million years they could ever live that back then, when they got you believing that they were all cavemen dragging their women off in caves, dragging their hair and banging them over the head like Captain Caveman, when they got you thinking this. But I don't believe, you know, what if it was just timber surrounded by a caking of some sort of you know, mud mortar or concrete that went off over time, and that's how they're so heavy, and they managed to lift them up there. The evidence on the Parthenon in basically Athens,
Martin, it was levitating.
Yeah, well, I've had evidence of levitating. That's real. That's real.
Particular storms, electromagnetic storms also contribute to the whole pattern.
No, outside of science, people can levitate without any technology whatsoever. I've been practicing since I'm into my 40th year of this. I put myself in my lotus position. I'll do it now for you, and I will hold my body off the ground. I'll do it now for you, and I've been doing this, and I let my arms go, and what I've explained to many people, twice it's happened, but once it took 2 or a very long second, noticeable second, before I actually touched the ground. I'd slowed it, the fall. So I defected my drop. Now, when I was a child, when we were all teenagers, there was a game we used to play. We used to sit somebody in a chair, a wooden chair, and we used to put our hands over their foreheads like this. Okay? 4 of us over their heads, and we take them out like that, one at a time. Ready, and you just gently put your fingers under the chair, and you go like that. And I swear to God, I could do it in this room now, and it would 100% work every single time. God strike me dead. You lift that person like they're made of air, and I've done it 100 times. I've seen girls run out of a house crying their eyes out at the sight of this, and I'm not joking. It's no trick. It is levitation. I will practice levitation. Levitation is something, yeah, you can Hutchison effect. You get monkeys vibrating in a fucking cup. You don't need technology. There's plenty of lamas and Buddhas out in Tibet which practice. They can basically melt ice. They can put a soaking wet blanket and make heat come out of their body, which will dry the blanket within 5 minutes. So the blanket is warm.
What I mean
to the touch. So many techniques.
That in those days, lots of other natural things, whereas today we
not
don't
these
sort of
days. It's now. Yeah, they cloaked our who we are. Yeah, with foods and the water, with the calcification, the pineal gland, and all the other techniques of everything from black magic to hypnosis to subliminals, predictive programming, neuro-linguistic programming, a whole bunch of bombardment on our senses. So you don't know where you are by the time you leave school. But when you work all this out and you sit and analyze it all and then put it into like little packages and then clear it all away completely, you don't need any of it. It's all bullshit. Anyway, guys, all you got is your immediate subjective reality shade. And all we do is juggle what we know between us. And one thing's for sure, this is a plane. And to me, it's a spiritual plane of existence. And that is the end of it. I'm never in my life probably going to find out anything more than that. They got all the corners covered. But what I will try and felicitate is a change in humanity, a spiritual change in humanity for the better. So there's no more of this greed. And half the world I'm going to fucking starve to death, be covered in flies because of the greedy Westerners. So all that can be over. No more bullshit wars. People getting blown up for bullshit fucking, to keep military complexes afloat. Or big pharma so they can make bunk medicines. What's their next one? Let me take a wild guess what they'll try now. Ebola. That'll be the next one. They're going to try a pan-fucking-demic to scare the shit out of humanity. Why do I know? Because I've been watching the patterns and I know how these people work. And that is the next one. Where will it come out? In America. And that's what's going to happen. And it may be sometime later in the year. Precog? No. No, I just follow patterns and I know these people work. That is the one they'll use to scare people the most. West Africa was a test. It was a test to see how this shit went down. The people who were there knew what was happening. They were running while people were grabbing them, putting them in ambulances, driving them away to their death, burying them alive. They were giving it to them and the people there knew. And what? The British go there, they set up 3 hospitals in 6 weeks. Can you imagine doing that here now for British people? Oh, no. The NHS is ground to a halt in this country, but they can set it up. So that tells me clearly that this is an operation set up by the military complex to see how a plague or a pandemic would release in the public as an experiment. And they used that country, Sierra Leone, as an experimental ground, and that's a fact. Now, that is something they could try, because that was only 2 years ago, and it's just disappeared.
You don't know whether to believe anything they've ever told you is the truth. So it's a bit like an outbreak of this has happened, but actually all along is they did it. They made the outcome.
Same as the Black Death. The Black Death. No evidence where it came from. Oh, what is the rat? It's a flea on a rat? No, we don't actually know. No, to me, that is like a middle-aged psyop. That didn't even happen. And if it did, the evidence that I found is really not convincing enough for me to say this is from that time, because there's so many different plagues. The one ended in what, 1666? The Great Fire of London, a Masonic psyop to get rid of the slums. 666, the reset year. It all falls into place with what I've been looking into, and it basically all fits with the introducing this heliocentric model exactly the same time, 1500. All of this seems to have stemmed in the last 500 years. I can't get much solid information from before then. People want to argue the mid-dark ages from me and bead.
Martin, Chris will agree with you. Something happened about 500-600 years ago, didn't it?
Yeah, it could be a reset.
Chris.
Yeah, I've just been doing some research here lately. I see a very strong correlation between electrodynamics and solar cycles and the solar minima being around that time. And if you follow the cycles, it works on about a 400-year cycle, and every 400 years it just kind of crashes. But now we're in a trend that seems to be even like there's a smaller trend of about 400 years, and it's actually on a trend that's downward towards like what you would call a solar minima, like the great solar minima. Yeah. And that's about where we are right now. It's slipping into a rapid cooling over the next 10, 20 years or whatever into it.
What I think about all of that, I think that weather and cold climates, and maybe the middle-aged cold period, that little ice age that happened when you had the fair on the Thames in the mid to 1500s, all like the periods. Now, what I think they are is because of the way consciousness works. If you wanted to put it into quantum mechanical context, is I believe that the weather and maybe even the sun and the moon react to the mood of the paradigm or society. And if they're stuck in a nightmare sort of society, despotic or something, I believe that the weather and everything else, their environment, will respond in kind. I really do. I think it's
all connected. Yeah, definitely. We're all connected.
We're that important.
I've seen a trend too with the plastics and the PHBs. I think it's called PHBs or PVBs. Plastics is it's wreaking havoc on DNA and reproduction rates and sperm counts, and which is leaching into even reproduction rates in all the animals and everything else, because the plastic polymers is just so I agree. There's definitely a reset coming down the pipe. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there is. DuPont, they own every plastic bottle in the world, right? So all the water, unless you buy it from a glass bottle, comes in a plastic bottle. So what sort of dangerous things does DuPont plastic do? Well, the one that I found was it introduces mammalians in men, or breasts in men. There's a whole number of these little things that they stick in to, us, this bombardment on our senses. When they all, sort of mount up, then they'll kill you. Unless you wake up to it. Everyone's going to need to wake up to it, because like you say, they're really looking at a reset. These people are apocalyptic by nature. They would love to bring in into fruition the book of Revelation. They really would. They said that this won't actually come into fruition unless the Muslims or the Jordanians built a mosque on Table Mount. So what's happening right now? Well, their side, the Jordanian side of Table Mount, is completely cut off. But Russian people have just sort of leaked that actually they are building something underground, and there's a load of stone have been brought up, and they got machinery, which they have, and there's evidence for it. It's all above ground, these huge blocks, and they're down there doing something to this ancient antiquity. And they're building something. So are they trying to fulfill biblical prophecy? Well, for my mind, yeah, they are. There's a whole load of cultures which breed this sort of apocalyptic nature. It's been around since the late 1800s. People were thinking like that. Oh, when it goes to 1900, the world's going to end, and then bang on 200 with the stupid cyber thing. The reset never happened, and then 2012. The main calendar, and then 1 or 2 years ago, never happened. People have got this in their mind, but it's introduced scaremongering tactics because they understand that we don't know how reality works, yet they do. So it responds the whole of reality, whether, to me, when you're on a beach on a beautiful night and that sunset looks beautiful beyond belief, it's looking beautiful for you or all of you on that beach. It responds to your consciousness, or if you want to put it into quantum mechanical terms, it's collapsing the wave function to a more permanent state for your intent, which is what's going on. So
I think it's, you know what, even if it was a theory, right, in the 60s, for sure, or even early 60s, they could have just told us the truth.
Well, it was beautiful, Karen. All they had was they had truth. They never had truth. They had peace and love, but no truth. That's it. They never had the three. If they had that, they would have been nailed, I think, Karen. But it got psyoped. Did it all. The Manson psyop ended the hippie movement. After that happened, people were like in the streets looking at hippies going, oh my God, they're cultist murderers. And nobody wanted to be a hippie after that. It literally ended the hippie movement that week. So that was government introduced, because
people haven't heard on the all the people have heard on the Hangout. Would Chris, how long have you been a flat earther?
Oh, I'd say I probably started leaning that way. Well, yeah, naturally since birth. Yeah, yeah, that's one way to look at it. But when I started rejecting the globe paradigm, I guess is probably around 2011, and probably 2014 really started looking at it from from physics and, you know, engineering type of point of view, and, you know, actually figuring out that it's, you know, completely bunk, right? There's no foundation for it at all. And so I've started over the last couple of years, you know, re-educating myself from a physics and design and, you know, that type of aspect, my understanding of electricity, how I can apply that into material sciences and, you know, geology and polymers. And so the re-education is going to be a little slow because it's completely backwards to what I was ever taught in any school, you know, other than just the basics, you know, positive goes to ground, and that's it. That's all you need to know, right? There's 3 phases. Positive goes to ground.
But marine engineering is my background.
Yeah.
So Martin, how long has it been for you that you've been a flat earther?
Well, I was well on my way, like Chris, but you know, I didn't believe in evolution, say from about 2010. I knew that was bunk. I had inklings about dinosaurs, but I had real questions about the heliocentric model right the way through my life. You know, like when they said that the Mir space station was up there. It wasn't Skylab, it was Mir, the first one. And then they were saying about the size it was, and you know, it filled a football field. So I went to a football match that night. I'm looking at the football field and I'm thinking, really? That's up there. And I understood as a kid, geocentrist orbit, you know, you needed a ball for a satellite or an orbitary body to fall away from said ball. They're not just sat there. This is how it works. So I knew that as a kid, but I conceived then that there was something wrong. You know, I now as a flat earther can have flashbacks and think, shit, I knew then. But then I went to sea for 10 years, merchant navy, all my life, all my childhood at sea on my father's ship. My mother was married to a captain in the merchant navy. So me and my sister grew up at sea. So I didn't have an ordinary sort of education. I had an alternative education. And when I did go to school, when we were on dry land, I didn't want to go to school. I couldn't stand the teachers and I found them all inept. They never answered any questions I asked. So I had an alternative life. So by the time I got out into the world to myself when I was 18, on my 18th birthday, I found its necessity to get into the engine room where it was warm, because the first ship I was on was an ice class and we were spending a lot of time breaking ice up in the Arctic, believe it or not. I know. So I got into the engine room where I'd done an engineering course and second engineering. I was an oiler for over a year. Then I got to be a second engineer, and I was registered then with Lloyd's Shipping as a second engineer. So I was an officer and a gentleman. I was quite proud of that fact. So I'm a trained engineer, and I spend a lot of time on the bridge, okay, where I've done like my steering ticket, and I'm observing out onto the horizon volcanic islands, which we've left 3 days ago. So I'd say to the captain and chief, like, what's going on, captain? Like, you know, that's 3 days away now. So what have we covered? 80, 100 mile? Nautical mile? Wouldn't answer. I'd go into the chat room, and this happened multiple times on 5 different ships. And my father's, so 10 ships. I go into the chat room. I know how to read the chat. They use mostly plain trigonometry over spherical because it's more accurate. You get a better bearing. Doesn't that say it all? So I check on the chart for a position and I work it out on a triangulation. That's all it works on. It's quite simple to do. And I find that it's like 68, 78 nautical miles away. Oh, shit. Well, what about this? Like, you know, this 3 to 6 miles dropping off point to the horizon line then? You know, that's just killed that and see it all. So but when the flat earth the first time, yeah, so I knew then, but they wouldn't answer me. They're all Freemasons anyway, so it makes perfect sense. But now I believe, Karen, I really do believe they knew. I really do believe they knew it was flat. They're out at sea their entire lives and it's always completely flat. They can spot on the radar, you know, land or ships so far away and they're seeing them, so they must know it's not a curvy ball. They know. So when this came along then, I'm Mark Sargent, my first, so that was around May of 2015. And it didn't take me that long, 6 weeks of cramming this. And then I woke up one morning and of course it's flat. How could I have not known? And I felt a bit stupid. Then I felt a bit angry because I thought I'd been, you know, because we've been lied to about everything. But I was well positioned. You know, it didn't come as a shock. Nothing to my psyche or my paradigm. You know, some people can really lose it.
It didn't scare me.
Didn't scare me
because I knew so much.
I thought, like you, Karen, like you said before, exactly the same as myself. I knew, this was the exact words, right, Karen, to my head. when I came out with Flat Earth British, I said, if I don't post now and connect with the other people who know this, I will regret it till the day I die. That was my exact thoughts, right? And then I posted, and it didn't take me no time at all to connect to the FE. But then I thought to myself, well, this is what I was born for. Now I know what God was keeping me for. No, I've got through some weird ass fucking death things where I should have been splattered 1,000 fucking times,
Martin,
guys.
we're all
And
part
I
of the
just
puzzle.
walked through it.
We're all
Everybody
part of this
says to
puzzle.
me, you're so charmed. What is he keeping you for? Well, no, I know what he's keeping me for. He's kept me for this. And my life's been a shitstorm all over the world. And he's kept me for this. And now I'm perfectly fucking ready. I couldn't be more ready in my life to cane this, you know, or kick this in, because I can. And I will. And numbers is the answer. Numbers, can't rely on using the devil's tool.
Yes, you missed the beginning bit, because Turquoise Dragon's got a geometry video out right now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Turquoise. Anthony. Not again.
He does it all the time. He does it. He's been on Hangouts for 2 years, Anthony, you know.
Yeah, I think he's been doing bits for his brother and sister. All right, can I just come back to you, because I obviously want to ask you more, Martin, I want to ask you a few more questions in a minute. But Series, how long have you been a flat earther?
3 years. What was it? Beginning of not last year, but then the year before. That's
15.
2.5 years.
Same.
Yeah,
The first
2015.
time, yeah, never ever actually thought about anything about the form of where we lived, other than just what we were shown. And so far, the whole world was confusing, and that nothing makes sense in the whole essence and the feeling and all the horror in this world, you know. And eventually the notion of flat earth actually brought all the sense behind it, because that's the one thing, kind of a tunnel through where you actually come into reality in what it is. Yeah, there's things are finally making sense in that sense from the moment I actually noticed flat earth.
Thanks, Series. Patricia.
Yeah.
How long have you been a flat earther?
I could say I've never really thought I was anything, you know, neither flat earth or a ball was old enough to realise these things. But to realise, because I always knew we weren't spinning, but I'd never really took much notice. But I'd say roughly sort of April last year, I think, roughly. I mean, I can't really pinpoint it down to a month, but it was sometime last year when I just watched a video. I was watching a video, and the next one along the line was to do with flat earth, and I'm like, flat earth? I thought, yeah, that's right. It was just instantaneously, because I knew we weren't spinning. Whether we were a ball or not, but I just knew we weren't spinning, and that's what started it all off. So from last year.
Yes. Thank you, Patricia. And also the bit we were talking about last night, the clouds go on and on and on, don't they, Patricia?
Well, yeah.
Remember you saying that, and then we brought that up last night. Anyway, thanks, Patricia. Stan.
You're welcome.
Hey, Stan.
Yo.
How long have you been a flat earther?
About 2 years now. But like, I've always questioned it my whole life. I remember being a small kid, being down the beach, thinking something's not right, you know, looking this way, looking that way. And I remember saying to my mum, who I was down there with, because I was only little, going, "Where's the curve? It's there, you just can't see it." All right.
That's what everybody says, isn't it? There's the curve, even if you can't see it. It's always got to be the curve, and yet they never see it.
But yeah, I was watching YouTube, and I found it by mistake. It clicked on a video and it just said the greatest lie ever told, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. So I clicked on it, and then I thought I'd be asleep in an hour, or watch that, go to bed. And I was still up in the morning at 6 o'clock looking out the window thinking, man, the world's flat. I was like, I was always right questioning it, and yeah, it was just literally 4 hours of looking and I was convinced, and then the next day I was out like looking at things completely different, and then yeah, within a few weeks I found, like, I went through all the Eric Debay stuff and everything like that, and then I had so many questions. It was, I wasn't taking anyone's word for nothing no more. It was like, oh, I want to find out what's going on. So found the Cosmic Surfer in South Africa, so I could find out what his stars were doing, and yeah, the rest is sort of history.
Yeah, and now you're on 360-degree cameras, telling us that our sky is a rainbow.
Yeah, no, we're doing crazy stuff that we never thought we'd do, but no, we all sort of are amazed at where we are. I think, because you think it's most people, 2-3 years, and 2-3 years back, everyone was a different person. Now we're all thinking.
The world definitely looks more beautiful now, though, for sure. Everything, nature, and everything responds differently. People, animals.
You realise it's reality. a big. It's like just a beautiful. Everything fits. It's a
miracle.
Yeah, it's all right.
It is. I think that's right. What Chris. Now I know what Chris has been looking into and his models and everything we've been talking about. I think it's a miracle.
Yeah, it's like the moon, it's a little token for us all to go and look at, isn't it, the moon? That's what me and Z Proxy was saying the other night, everyone that's into this sort of stuff, you all go and look at the moon, and
it's a big one, so it's full tonight, if I can see it.
Yeah, I can just about see it behind the haze of crap up there.
Oh shit,
Anyway, can I just say that Dee has joined us now. Hello, Dee.
All right.
Hello, how's it going all?
Yes, Dee.
Go on.
Just as you're here, Dee, how long have you been a flat earther? I know, but just for the chat room.
Oh, November.
Wow, baby.
Yeah.
Come a long way.
Just a toddler in the flat earth.
Every single person in the flat earthers knows you, Dee. You're a legend already.
Oh, that's quite sweet, isn't it?
I'm not looking for numbers, like I say. I'm happy just to stick me shit out there, and if people want to listen, then let them do it.
Yeah, I just want to bring people together, good people together, felicitate change.
Me too, Martin. Me too, but can we just ask, before we carry on the conversation, I just want to ask Turquoise Dragon, how long have you been a flat earther?
Well, I joined the research community, I'll put it that way, in September last year. Only quite fresh, really. I pretty much joined the Hangouts online, got discussing it, got different opinions, different evidence that I wouldn't have looked at without joining the research groups, especially. You just go off the mainstream media for most of it, usually, or Wikipedia. And you want to look many different places because there's like nuggets of gold everywhere.
Yeah, so you haven't been a flat earther for that long then?
I don't know. I don't like applying titles to myself because it limits everything else. Like, I don't think you can't say it's stationary because everything moves, everything vibrates. You can't say it's like, flat because there's hills and mountains. You can get all like nitpicky like that, but it is fairly flat. I'm just going to admit, but from my perspective,
it's a flat plain, isn't it? The plain's flat with trees and hills and mountains and gorges, and that's what it is.
Yeah. It fits in nicely with like magnetism with the plane of inertia. And if you won't mind, I'd like to show you what I was going to show you before. Martin.
Yeah, sure, go for it. Can you screen share to the application? Because otherwise it shows the link.
Don't worry. I'm almost a
Do.
veteran.
That's good.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of, you soon learn how to successfully share your screen when the sniper's around,
I'll come back to you in a minute, Martin, because I've got some things to ask you. Haha.
Right. Talking about frequency and sound, and Martin brought up the fact that the megaliths and all these stone structures, they might have used levitation or some kind of technology what we don't kind of appreciate or even use today. And I believe it would have been like resonance frequency. So say you get like a glass vase or whatever, if you can reproduce that frequency, or like something else, like a triangle, and if other side of the room you hit the triangle of the same size, proportion is a big thing, right, with spacings of everything. So you've got a triangle on the other side of the room and you hit it, and because it's the same frequency emitted, it kind of rings, like that's how opera singers smash glasses. They get up to the resonance frequency of the glass and they warble either way, so it kind of puts it under stress. And if you've seen any slow-mo bits of glass breaking under sound frequencies, I advise you watch it. But this is an example of how levitation can happen just through sound. And pretty much cymatics geometry comes through it. I don't want to full screen it, but yeah, it can basically be held and formed through frequency. Just like how a raindrop, or even a bubble, like a bubble for children or whatever. When equilibrium is met, you'll get a sphere. But you start.
That doesn't half look like a star, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, geometries and triangles are basically very star shape. This is an example. Just it's all about pressure, so that you keep in an equilibrium at this certain level. Therefore, the water is staying there. And there's a guy called John Hutchinson who used frequencies. Basically, he showed that you could weld with frequency. Like we use it in all the MIG welding, electric, all these welders and that. But
they said the same with the Philadelphia experiment, which is what made the the story of it. They use the same technology apparently.
Yeah. But as simply as this, like you look at these stone megaliths, right? You see, you couldn't even fit a piece of paper between them, right? And you wonder how they did them, how they lifted them. Well, ignore the lifting for now, but how did they kind of place them so close together? And my theory is that they were placed on top, quite rough, and then maybe a frequency was emitted, and they would have melted like butter, just like butter on butter, and just welded together.
It looks like they're melted, doesn't it? So yeah.
So yeah, that's
Chris, what do you think about that then?
Wow.
From which aspect?
He just said that they were put on top of each other and then they were kind of melted with a frequency together.
Yeah, I'm not like many of the structures are definitely a geopolymer type of concrete versus the stone. So I'm not sure if they would have applied some electricity to help speed up the process to dehydrate them.
Is they're using pumapunko. It would have them qualities, the crystalline qualities. Same in the Priscilli stones in Stonehenge, or a lot of stone circles got these, specific, resonant qualities. Even in even the stone used on the pyramids, crystalline by structure, so it's got crystalline qualities.
Yeah, and they seem to have the geopolymers definitely have volcanic ash as the tempering agent versus
it stays there for all that time. It's amazing. I know. Yeah, good solid, and it can live underwater. It's crazy.
Have you seen that old boy? He made his own castle all on his own, and he was lifting like
I did a video 2 weeks back. Yeah, Coral Castle. Yeah, have a look on my channel. Yeah,
he made it on his own. So how the hell did he pick those stones up?
He had a box, brother, on top of his gantry, and he said that he harnessed the technology of the pharaohs or of Egypt. So he had some technology that could shift these huge bits of coral rock, which is a really heavy type of rock, right? He's made of coral, into place at night, Chris, no one around.
Chris, Chris has got a really good explanation for this. If you give him a sec, honestly, I think he explained it to me quite well the other night. Anyway,
cool.
If you don't mind, Chris, sorry.
Yeah, which part did you want to focus on?
The Coral Castle bit. Sorry, you talked about how the guy managed to do that using was it an earth battery to charge up his?
Oh, Ed Liedtke, he had basically set up an earth battery system where he had a pipe into the ground that was tapped into the aquifer, and then he had he called it his Sweet 16, but he had took magnets out of the old Ford cars, and when it spun, he was using it, and he had a relay set up with just wine bottles and copper wire, and it would just go click 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 click. But what it was doing, so it was actually drawing the energy from the ground. He had created an earth battery, which is similar to
magnetics used. Oh, that's really that could happen. That's really intriguing.
So that's
what in Tuscany got me thinking. I've just sort of gone on tangent. No, Chris, you stamped me right there. Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Right. So he had a pipe into the ground, and that connected to his spinning diametric. So it was basically a magnet that was in reverse, and it spun, and then it charged his battery system. He had a bank of batteries, and he was using tripods, but they were electrically driven as lifting devices. And
I've seen a picture.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that is it's basically the same technology of a Tesla tower, right? So Tesla at Wardenclyffe, he did the same thing. He had a tap into the aquifer of the water below, and then drawing down the atmospheric energy from above using the solenoid, and connecting the two together as a very high voltage, low DC, but extremely high voltage DC power systems. So I'm not Ed's castle is definitely aligned with a lot of the astrophysics and stuff.
I was gonna say, make one, Chris. Do it.
There's a huge aquifer under the Sahara. There's bound to be one in the Giza Plateau. It's really intriguing, this.
Yeah, Giza was tied into the Nile River, and there are copper lugs in the pyramids as well that would show that they were using a hydrogen reformation type of system to generate power and split hydrogen. And when I looked into hydrogen, as far as how some of the stones were cut, jets of hydrogen, it burns at 7,200 degrees, and it'll cut through granite at about 100 feet per hour with unlimited thickness, and it would actually look like a melted, like a very shiny surface when you take hydrogen, because you can use a hydrogen HHO welding jet, right, and weld the glass or weld metal to glass. Yeah,
I know.
So I think the cutting technology would have been hydrogen-based cutting, and then the curing of the geopolymers, because it was a volcanic ash, not a fly ash, but volcanic ash, would have been electrically based to speed up the curing process. So some of those lugs would have been air, like those knobs left on the stones, they would have formed them, poured into it, so you'd have an injection and an air outlet, and then they cured it with electricity to speed up the process. So you'd end up with a very...
It would. It would make it go off quicker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. The electricity would dehydrate it and solidify it, increase the strength and the bond between the polymers, the stones. Yeah. Right.
Awesome recharging. Yeah. Oh, that's fucking awesome, Chris.
Yeah.
I've seen these aquifers in Tuscany and up in northern Italy, and they blew my mind, because they were supposed to be pre-Roman, because the Etruscans were preceded Rome, because Romulus and whoever who founded Rome were Etruscans. Now, there's not much known about Etruscans, but their artwork is unbelievable, and it remains out weird. And these aquifers, which take water at a decline of, I think it's about 1 inch a mile, all the way south to Rome and Porta and other Roman places. Now, obviously that would be going uphill on a ball, so that's impossible. But
like the Nile runs north. Yeah.
It's crazy, Chris. But like, yeah, but I'm thinking like all of these aqueducts are made of this composite concrete, this stuff that they can set underwater, the same concrete that the Colosseum and all of these, the Parthenon ceiling, the
Parthenon,
ceiling, which is supposed to be there for over 2 millennia. Now, felicitating there with an electrical charge used from the aquifers, and these aquifers are positioned right where these giant viaducts I see, these Etruscan viaducts. I've seen them. So this really fits. This is really cool. Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's exactly like the Parthenon. You're right. The Parthenon, the concrete in the Parthenon.
I only one door in, one door out. It blew my mind, that place.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's been there that long. I really can't. I just can't. There's a hole in the oculus above, right? And when I was in there, it was drizzling, and the rain was pissing through onto the tile floor, the marble floor. And I thought to myself, what? It's been raining through that hole for 2 millennia. Wouldn't there be like some sort of dip or some sort of decay by here? Like, I just couldn't get my head around it. I really couldn't. But it was a mind-blowing place, because each alcove used to have a pagan deity, had a Bernini artwork in now. So it was like, wow, what a place. It really is.
No, it's that's kind of where I'm at with it as far as the research, because the Egyptians and even pre-Egyptian, all the cultures, and especially some of the Incas, they use gold plating. Yeah, so it's definitely they knew about electrolysis. They knew about gold plating.
They knew about electrolysis. They know even the Baghdad battery, which is probably them just sneaking out little bits, but the electric charge necessary for that would have only been enough for electroplating or something to do with jewelry, they say. Yeah. So, but look at the advanced jewelry back, even the Saxon stuff. Yeah, they hoarded up in the Saxon Hof. I don't know whether you've seen the intricacy of this jewelry, but they couldn't replicate it today without advanced technology. So how are they doing it? Yeah. They had more than they say. I don't think electric arrived with Edison and Tesla in the late 1800s. I really don't. They could have harnessed it before. I think the same about the camera. Look how easy the camera is to build. And you think they couldn't interpret the human eye back then and build a camera? I really don't think so. I really don't.
They definitely knew about pressure and salt and dielectrics, and it's a dielectric system, high voltage dielectrics. Because they, even like say the Ark of the Covenant, it was gold plated, but it was made of wood, so they would have soaked it in salt water, and then applied electricity, and that would have drawn in the gold plating, because they had the ability to gold plate anything. Right? We don't do that today. We don't gold plate wood and preserve it with gold, other than electron microscopy. Right? It's basically what they're doing is electron microscopy on a grand scale.
Incredible.
I think they had to take everything away from us because we were actually using it. So say if we were still copper coating with gold, things would happen. People would notice things.
I'm going to try that.
Say whatever it is. And what we're using, plastic.
Well, see, the thing is, if that technology is in the hand of the common people, well, then
this is it.
The whole gold back currency system and everything just disappears, because anyone could do it, right? So eventually they got rid of that.
All the free energy, brother. They don't want us to have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the pyramids, they would have had enough energy coming out of those.
I got a photograph of a pyramid that was caught on some sort of photographic technique where it's got this coiled, what looks like a coiled snake or an energy field or a pulse, or what we would expect to see off a Tesla tower or something, coming up through the top of the pyramid. I got a picture in my collection. I don't think it's false. I think it's a real photo. I've also seen it with the Mexican pyramids, this test where you can see an electrical field, especially, and it is connected with what's going on up there as well, I think, because they seem to be more prominent at certain times of solstice and what have you. So they may be generated by the sun, maybe moon qualities. There's something in that as well. You're right, Chris.
You're right.
Oh, indeed. The other day, we did a measurement live here online, and on one of these hangouts here, RTs and I think Angel was on. He's into the pyramids, and we took Pumku in South America, and we measured from the center point of that biggest pyramid there to the center point of the Giza pyramid at the peak. And it turned out that the distance was exactly 12,400 and some odd kilometers, which is the width of the plane, right? It's actually the kilometers of the plane, like when you do the math.
Wow.
Right? The ratio was not 12,000 kilometers, but
I got you.
The ratio
Incredible.
was
It
was exactly 45 degrees, straight shot, right?
Wow.
The ratio of the distance was a fraction of the entire distance of the entire plane.
They all line up. I've got a map of all sorts of nodal points where you line up Giza with Angkor Wat to Chichen Itza to all of these mystical and sacred sites across the plane. They all, we've even tried it on different AE projections, azimutals, to see what will come up on nodal points that we recognize, sacred points, including the Devil's Triangle and the Bermuda Triangle, because they can't be ignored. There's some shit going on with electromagnetic disturbance there, maybe portal, something's going on, and it can't be ignored in the Bermuda Triangle. And there's all sorts of places like this where the veil is thin between dimensions. There's all sorts of places on the plane, especially on the high Tibetan plateau, where the veil is thinnest on the plane, which is why the high monks and the lamas reside there.
Thank you. 1 second. Because I think that Turquoise Dragon was going to say something, but you're a little bit quiet on your mic, and we didn't hear you. So what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just joining in about the stone structures. Basically, there's definitely something to do with their arrangement as well as what they're made of, and they have like an electromagnetic field, like they are a computer almost. The layouts and the like you said.
Well, why not a computer? Look, they reckon the crystal skulls might have been able to host data because they made a crystal, and what is silicone but crystal? So what if the silicone structure in these things can house memory or information? How would we know? That's intriguing. Computer, supercomputers of a sort, used or linked, maybe bio or maybe consciousness related. That's really intriguing. Never heard that. So now, again, that's true.
What makes you think that we got the idea for computers and 8-bit code and binary all from nature? We got it from nature first.
Well, that's all silicon sand, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, as far as I looked into that too, as far as the electromagnetism of each individual stone being polarized. So if you apply the idea that once it was poured in the air, was taken out, and the concrete was trying to cure, and they wanted to speed up the curing, and they applied electricity, high voltage DC current, to cure the concrete at a controlled rate, right? Because they would want to control shrinkage and cracking and whatnot, and that's why it also seems to have a delamination. Like you'll see how they sort of peel. It's because the wet stone, when it's in a wet concrete and you apply electricity, it takes on the magnetic field of the actual voltage that you've applied. Right, so they do become magnetized.
Like that bubbly effect, Chris, that you see on the concrete that sort of burst and then they sort of pitted back. Yeah, that could be induced by electrical charge sort of infusing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's why you'll see like it'll start to chip off in layers, like as it degrades. It starts to flake off in layers. Right, and these stones are doing that. That's because the electricity was applied.
We know the work from Michael Tillinger as well with the stone circles all in Africa. And
there's so many ants. I know. It's incredible. Wonder what's going on there.
Talking of stone circles, actually, sorry, I was on Dartmoor yesterday and when I went live on Jamie's Hangout for a little while, and I passed 2 stone circles on Dartmoor. I've got a bit more footage on my P900 as well, so I'll be uploading that in a bit. But
are they on the map? Did you have a look when you went home, G, to see if they were charted, or did you discover them? Because it's pretty bloody wilderness there, isn't it?
They're on a footpath or just off of a footpath, so I imagine they're known of. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's incredible just finding them Neolithic remains just like that.
Like I've been saying about me as well, like there's a hill, well, it was a hill or it was a mound of earth called Silbury Hill.
Oh, I've been there, I know it.
And it's actually a pyramid of the world now, and yet hardly anybody in England knows that it is, unless you stumble across it, become a flat earther, or live near it and think, weren't they doing some work? Let's go and see if I can find it on the... Oh, there it is. It's a white pyramid.
Who got a late 1800s photograph of it, Silbury Hill? Take a look at it, because it's changed in sort of shape. They've altered it a bit. It looks so much more pyramidical years back. If you look at an older photograph, that's what I always do. I dig back for the photographic record, see what it shows, and nothing seems to be the same. Everything's changed, especially with the pyramids. I noticed the other day we were on about the pyramids, and somebody was talking about the Benjen stone. That's an enigma. What's going on with that? and they keep missing. The tops of the pyramids keep missing. I think this is a key to how these things work, is the qualities of that stone.
Martin, I added artists on because he wanted to say a few things, so he might help.
Yeah.
He might help with what you're saying.
Yeah. A lot of pyramids, I noticed.
Well, you made a small thinking error in Peru and Bolivia, that those stones are melted on top of each other, because they aren't on the older structure. They are predating the Inca civilization, because those stones are interlocking with each other in a special way, like a jigsaw puzzle, and there's no mortar between them, so they are earthquake proof.
Incredible.
Yeah, I just want to correct that. For some people think that they used mortar, but most old ancient structures predating the Egyptians, predating the Inca civilization, predating the Maya civilization, they never used mortar. They just use stones interlocking with each other. And even near the pyramids, those big stones that are lower in the ground, they have small things sticking out under them, like a sort of Lego blocks that they can fit the stones on. Just want to correct that.
Thank you, artist. What do you think about that dragon, turquoise dragon?
Yeah, well, they're like little. Yeah, I've seen the interlocking thing. That's
yeah,
sure
get on Baalbek as well. Yeah. This interlocking thing.
Yeah, with the other things, you were right on the target, or Martin.
Say that again, artist.
I think with the rest of your thinking about those ancient structures, you are absolutely right.
It is an enigma, and there's so much. Like that, I was looking into basically Baalbek, which today is having a battle from there, apparently, according to the news. But under it goes really, really deep down. Also, the wall of, the wall of the Temple Mount. But Baalbek, right? These stones that underneath that you can't give them an age, because stone can be there for so long, so you can't really give it an age. And as you say, they got these wedges like Lego, and they're just huge.
You can carbon date the stone, because if you carve in the stone still remains carbon date as it was formed. So if you date that stone, you can go back millions and millions of years, and you still don't know when it was carved. So it can't be done. That's the problem.
Can I just ask, Stan, are you into pyramids?
Yeah, I've looked at them quite closely, you know. I've been more into the moon though, to be honest. But yeah, I've had a good look at them, and there's no way that there was 100 men beating on a stone. You know, it's just all rubbish, isn't it? It's complete. You know, I'm a builder by trade, and I've been doing stonework at the minute. I'm rebuilding a barn, and there's some stones in that barn, and I think to myself, how the hell did they get them up there? You know, when they built this. You know,
do you like the bit about levitation then? Maybe.
It does make me wonder, because we had to get a telehandler to move a few of the stones. You know, there was 2 of us there, and we couldn't bloody get hold of them.
Well, most of the stones are have a magnet property, because if you place on most of the ancient stones, you place a compass on them, and you move the compass around. The needle turns sometimes if you place it on if a stone is cut and you place the compass on the half of the stone, the diameter, it turns 90 degrees. If you put it on as far away, it turns 180 degrees exactly. If you pick it up off the stone, it turns back to the normal north point. So all the stones have a magnetic property in them, and that's very precise. So it wasn't there by accident. It was made in the way that it had certain magnetic property on parts of the stone, and you can see that very clear in Pumapunku, in where the big H stones are. If you put in those H blocks, you put the magnet in the cutout at the farthest point, it turns 180 degrees. If you put it back at the half of that, it's turned 90 degrees. And if you pick it up, it turns back to the north point. So that's also with those big obelisks in Egypt. Yeah. They are sound resonant. So if you hit the stones with your bare hands, you can hear a gong sound. Yeah, very long. That it goes on very long. And also in the stones in Baalbek, near Baalbek, you have those holes in the wall. Yeah, you have those holes in the wall. And if you sing a flat E, it resonates to that. So it's all with vibration and magnetics. So if they knew the technology how to carve those stones in that way, they probably also knew the technology to lift those stones with magnetics and sound. It's
what do you think happened to Pumapunku then, artists? I mean, what could ever chuck those giant H stones around like they're made of sticks?
Well, it's a bit
over such a scale.
Well, near through Peru and Bolivian over that Pumapunku side.
Lake Chichen Itza, Madison, and covered it with silt. But no, it's too far away, and it's not enough volume of water to cause such a force. I've looked into it. I know it's high. I know the lake's there.
Oh, you can if you look on Google Earth at that site and you look very close, you can see a positive and a negative strike and some salt lakes beneath that. That always indicates that it was a positive and negative strike zone. And if you look on Google Maps, it's very clear.
Chris has got it up, I think.
Yeah. The gate stone is cracked down the middle in Pumapunku. It's like, what could crack something of such a... What force was that?
You can see here. Yeah,
Martin, let Chris will explain it.
Yeah, this is in Egypt. Near Egypt.
I'll bring up the map there too, if I can.
Yeah.
So this is just an example. This is in on the west coast of Africa, and this is just one example. And Pumapunku has, like Artis is saying, has the same characteristics.
Yeah.
So there's a negative pole arc strike here when a storm, like a giant, huge electric storm, came through the area, and it blew out this area.
Yeah.
It blew this out on the next. So this is the negative pole, which is basically salts and negative type of materials, and it's this. They called this a welded tuft on the top.
Yeah.
In geological terms. So this has all been burnt and fused solid on the top, and then all this is blown out. And this is where the strike hit.
I follow the electric universe hypothesis, so I do believe that it's acting has caused a catastrophe. I really do, on a big scale.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So then this would be the positive pole, right? And this is all iron. You can tell they're mining it today as iron.
Yeah.
So then when we look at the history and go back, you just start tracing the storms, and you go like to another area, say Vatican City and the fall of Rome and the Neo story, right? Right. So you can see the Vatican City to the south is a negative strike that created this crater instantly, crossed through Vatican City this is a positive pole.
Oh wow!
And this would have been a negative. The negative, and you see all the craters where the electric arc struck and blew out this giant lake, right?
Yeah, man.
This is actually approximately, if you measure it from point to point, that's 15 kilometers, right? Give or take, right? So the story where they said that they saw blue snakes, serpents crawling across the ground, chasing the people as they ran and turning them into salt pillars.
Yeah.
I have the site of, that's a place also from Bolivia and Peru, Chris.
have me up all night searching for them now. On Google Earth.
Well, they're everywhere, right? Yeah, so you can look at the top.
Fucking hell, Chris.
The storm,
That's really good evidence.
So this storm, the
You'll
storm
like it even
all
more
the way
than
down
that
the coast,
because you can
Oh,
see
that's
some of these
exactly
craters on the moon as well, Martin. So
Exactly, yeah. So, ooh.
Yeah, so
sorry to cut you off there,
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah, the strikes came down through the coast of Italy, and as it did, it carved out this scalloping of the coastline, and took out Rome and whatnot, and then you can see that even in this one, I think they call it Nepal Mountain or something, but you can see there's a crater in the top of that as well, right? And it's iron rich. It's red and iron rich, and it blew it out, scalloped all around the outside, and then blew out the middle. And it pulled it right out of the ground, right? So when the arc strike happens, it pulls basalt and iron.
Right, Chris? And
Yeah, it does.
the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it raises the irons because it pulls the irons towards the magnetic charge at the center of the vortex of the magnetic field in the arc strike because it's an electrical plasma strike. And then it blows out the center because that's negative. So it goes negative, positive iron, then negative, and then positive, right? And it pulls up, and digs out all at the same time.
Yeah, and all those are.
So this entire region here, right? So one flash and that would have been created like instantly, just bang, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
Anything in there would have been gone, right?
Yeah.
And you can see the arc, right?
Yeah, and those arc strikes are often near ancient sites, almost 99% of the time.
And this is the thing as well, Martin. You've got to forget the no forests on flat Earth as well. This debunks that.
I killed that off, brother. I deliberately killed that off, actually. Look, there's something in this. There is something in this. This is interesting to me.
So even though we're looking at the ball here, here's a scallop path north of South America, and you see the ring of this ring of islands here.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the arc. Right, so it started to dig that out, and this length here, if you measure it, is 1,800 kilometers by 650 kilometers wide. And then, which is interesting, you think, well, that's kind of a unique geological feature, but maybe not, because you look down to the south, and there's a sister or brother type of formation, right? Exactly the same formation with exactly the same number of islands that have been pulled out of it, and it's the same dimensions, 1,800 kilometers by 650 kilometers wide. The depth is the same, right?
This is all in Homer's Iliad. This happening, so I believe this has happened. I really do. And like
this is you look at the ancient culture of the twin serpents that chase themselves around the earth, and the Viking stories, and they met and battled, right? Yep. And the other side of it was over here. This is where it started. It started over on this side, and started scalloping out here because this is the actual start point, I think, because this is the deepest region where. It started here, came all the way down through China, through the Middle East, all through the tops of Africa, and it formed. Then it started coming down through the north, right? It peaked up here, scalloped all this out, and then come down through on the east, or I guess the west coast of the United States and South America.
Right.
Right.
Well,
so then maybe there's places down here that are just.
You look at that, because if that's not a meteor. There's been an event there because it's made the cenotes in Central America. So if it's not a meteor, what about the KT impact off the coast of Gulf of Mexico? Do you think that could be something? Is there
there's. Let me.
Debate?
I want to show you one here. What's it called? Paid mirror or PA? That crater.
Turquoise Dragon. What do you make of what they're saying?
Yeah.
Chris
is just showing a couple of them. There are a lot of them all over the earth. In India, there's one. Across Bolivia, Peru, there's a very clear one.
Right.
So you have all kinds of stripes, and you can see them very clearly, even from high up.
There's a crater. Adamowski crater. There we go. I want to show you this one because this is.
What makes
this one here
is the craters always come in twos, and they're always like you said, the opposite poles or different kind of the cathode anode kind of connection.
Yeah, you always have a positive and negative strike.
Yep.
So why won't this one show me?
Sometimes the positive and negative stripes are a little bit hard to find, but if you search a little bit, you can always find them.
Is there a correlation between east and west with these positive and negative strikes?
I don't know if there's a correlation with the actual angles. There's definitely would be within the angles between the two. They'd be straight lines for sure. I'm just trying to think of. I'm going to quit this and come out because my Google Earth didn't refresh properly.
I can pick it up. They can talk further maybe.
Yeah, Pat Motsky Crater is the one I'm looking for. I wanted to explain that to RTs because he hadn't seen that one yet.
No. I'm not sure.
Just want to say, Turquoise, what do you think of what they're saying then? Did you like that's what Chris has found?
Pat Motsky.
He said he'd be back in a minute. It's in chat. He said be big.
No, I'm here. I've just
right.
muted up and been talking.
I'll show you one for Martin Liedtke. Here is the strike in near Pumapunka. This is Pumapunka in Peru. Here you have the strike zone. Here you have the hole. And I can show you how far it goes. This one is very long. It starts around here. Then it goes further like here. And you can see all those strike zones near each other. It's a whole battlefield, looks like.
Don't it?
And again, you have a big salt lake over here. And the strike zone is very far. You have an even bigger salt lake. It's huge. I can measure it. It's a very big salt lake.
See, I was looking at Google Maps, like Google Earth, and bloody Kazakhstan's just like that, just littered with it, you know.
Yeah, Turkey and Cappadocia is another one to look at because you can see where Cappadocia was.
Yeah, Venus Valley looks like
you can see that the mountains here also push aside. And this one is you can see it goes further like here to this point roughly. It goes all the way this line. Very clear too.
Wow.
So that's a very big one.
Like an arc point.
I can measure this one also.
Must be really long, yeah. Wow.
I do dimension, so this is a little bit shorter when I measure it. It's 50 kilometers.
Good God.
So almost
the elevation.
You have a little bit of an angle in, so it's about 700 kilometers. I have one in India, and that one is even more clear.
Is it in Indus Valley? Because there's evidence for vitrification there.
Oh, Artis, could you look at Devil's Tower? No. Devil's Tower, just to show Martin Devil's Tower in Sundance.
Yeah. This one is in India, and above that you can see all that those are all ancient sites, and near that it's a very big strike zone. And if you also, like Chris mentioned, you go zoom in on the site, you can see they are mining the iron from it. This with iron.
And they are.
So that one is very clear. And for Chris, I will search Devil's Tower. Just a sec.
Because me found in the elevation data the biggest scale, because I'm actually working from the biggest scale down to the detail. But on the biggest scale, you can actually see a complete wave actually going through east, west, north, south several times.
So we can see the Devil's Tower. We can see that it's a basalt column, which has the hexagonal stones, right? Hexagonal stone columns, which is fractional. The way that fractures is because of electricity. Even the cells in our bodies and structures and in plants form the same thing.
That's fucking exactly the same. I know.
So then you look
much better than priests.
Yeah, so if you look at Devil's Tower to the northwest, and then you go to Sundance just to the
I'm already
southeast of
there.
it is the positive strikes that's the other side of the pole. And if you zoom in on that point in Sundance, you'll see that it's a perfect star-shaped crater system.
My God.
Right.
You can see the melting and the burning, the star shape and the burn. This is incredible evidence.
So there's the starship type of. So that's how you can wire a star shape in a.
Mate, I've done welding at sea. I know about these little splodge pools and how they look and the arcing, and it looks exactly like that.
Same thing, yeah. So you just have to multiply it by about 1.5 billion, and
I know.
Yeah.
This is why I'm so big on the hypothesis of this electric universe hypothesis. It cuts out the globe bit, it fits perfectly because obviously there's no gravity, but it's definitely electromagnetic charge in the atmosphere, and the higher you get, the more intense it gets. So yeah. This is
when we look at our bodies and how we're made, just in logical terms,
to me, water, the magic of water, water with that intent and that positive intent affects water. To me, that's 100% real. I put it to the test. And we're mostly made of water and carbon, so we're slightly crystalline by nature also. So we got the properties that rocks and nature around us have got. It's incredible. So,
yeah, I mean, we're a dielectric system, right? Because our bones are calcium, which is a dielectric, water's a dielectric. So essentially, we're being lifted up by the negative field, and it's the positive field that's kind of pulling us down. But our structure is supported by the negative, and just because it's a slightly positive system, we feel it as gravity and pressure on our bones, and that's just a resistance differential between the two charges, right? That's what gravity is.
Also, you felt that the people, as the time was going along, knew this was going to happen. You can see it with the kind of headdresses they're wearing, that there'd have been rings in the sky, and this is why they built underground, because they saw the skies changing, getting ready for
it would have been. You could have seen it start to build up, like the weather would have changed. You would have seen more sprites, and then the sky would have turned to a plasma color. That so they would have seen that event coming over, generations after generations, and they would have started to build underground, and there would have been the cooling cycle that we're going into now. So what drives people underground logically is two things. It's either too damn hot or too damn cold, right? And probably in this case, it would have been both. It would have cycled first to cold, had a mini ice age, and then as the system recharges itself, it just goes haywire with the electricity and blows it all to pieces, right? So, it's definitely a charged cycle.
Like you say, there is a cycle.
There's a cycle, yeah.
Well,
actually,
sorry.
Can I just ask Stan something? Stan, I was talking to Chris about this the other day, and a lot of us have we've noticed it now, that when the light is going, it's pink behind. Do you notice that? It's pink in the east.
Yeah. Not always. Sometimes it's turquoise blue or bits of pink.
Yes.
It's down on just that night, isn't it? The atmospheric conditions.
Yeah, what's in the air at that time.
Yeah, I've seen
Let's go.
Have you noticed it get more pinky, or
I think
don't know, we never
Bees.
noticed it, and now most flat earthers think, why is it pink over there as it's getting dark?
I don't know. I think Karen B's sunrise was pretty cool the other day.
Yeah, just real quick, what's the site in Russia you wanted to show me, Chris?
It's called the Padmotsky crater.
I can see it. That red dot right in the middle of Siberia. There, look, straight in front of me. No, go over to your right, and you'll see this dot. No, down a bit.
It's
near the border, in the middle. There, you see a pink dot. That's it there.
Yeah, it's called
Oh no, it's not.
Padmotsky. Patoms.
I just wrote it down. Yeah, I just wrote it down. Yeah, Patomskiy crater.
Yeah.
Potamsky crater.
Okay, you just look for that. Stan,
it's on my screen. I can show you.
Before, or is that something that's a bit more
Chris.
like in the last couple of years?
Sorry?
Oh, you're already open. All right.
I was saying the pink
there.
sky. Is it something we all think has been here for a long time, or is it something that's only a couple of years, having this pink sky behind us?
It's because you're a flat earther, and now you're noticing it all. I've been photographing it since I've been a flat earther, the sunset, and it's never looked like that my entire life. It's because you're a flat earther and you're seeing it through flat earth eyes. That's why it looks so different.
Yeah, there's a different.
Reacts to you.
There's a bit of a different anomaly I've noticed over the last maybe 4 or 5 years that I haven't noticed before. Is like when the sun's going down in the west and you're looking at the orange, orange or reddish type of sunset, and you turn around and look to the east, you'll see a pink sky behind you, and the same.
I know what's with that. It's like it's reflecting on the dome on the other side. I know it's more red in the opposite sky sometimes than it is in the actual west.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. The pink sky behind.
Oh right, behind it. Oh, the opposite sky. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think,
weird, isn't it?
So I think what's causing that is because we're seeing this uptick in charge density in the upper layers of the atmos, right? So as it picks up electricity, we've seen an increase also in here in Canada in the Northern Lights and the intensity. There's been two that they called them Steve because they have no other name for them. And they've been captured on film, and it's actually a whirlwind vortex coming out of the north, right, and going straight up, and the colors are different. It's turning blue and green, so which means it's getting hotter, right? Right, it's starting to get hot.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you the Patamotsky crater here.
Turquoise Dragon said something, but no one hears what he says because he's a little bit low. What were you going to say?
No, I looked at a video yesterday about neon lights. And magnetism, and it showed pretty much he had a neon tube and was shining had a magnet near it, and it just showed that magnetism is affecting light, or it's kind of the same thing.
Plasma, so
what's going to be in the upper atmosphere are all the less dense gases, so you've got from atomic weight 1 to whatever, but including the noble gases, what I found in all fluorescent bulbs and argon, neon, and that's pretty much what I'm seeing as what creates our daylight. I see the difference between the sunlight being like specifically like local, and then the daylight being kind of a different thing, something else.
Interesting. It could very well be that. You give me some light source, so why not? Gases do. Look at sodium lighting. Sodium gives off an orange light, and a haze around street lights at night. You ever wondered about that haze, where it's not exactly lighting up the atmosphere, but there's a sort of illuminated whiteness around a street lamp or an orange street lamp at night, which is not really in any realm. Have you ever stared at that? I'm trying to work it out. Where exactly is that? Where does it exactly exist?
Replaced all the ones near with LED ones. So what's worse about LED is that it's if you think about bandwidth of color, the color spectrum, the old school street lights had a good range, but then when they switched to LED, it pretty much cut out the bottom end of the red spectrum, and it just there's not much red in that. It's mostly quite a blue light, which could be affecting us negatively.
I watched a video where they're trying to actually get rid of the colour purple and put it into blue. The really most important colour. And they're trying to sort of push it in with blue. So it's not purple.
Karen, I can't go in government buildings with fucking them lights above me because I got piercing pains in my eye within an hour. I'm not joking. I got to get out of there, and I've explained to him I got to get out of this building because of them lights. Imagine spending all day under them lights in an office. I think they're deliberately made that way. Maybe they cut them purple out or something to affect us psychologically. Who knows?
Yeah, we're looking at it.
I meant in the upper atmosphere. Like up there.
If I could share my screen there, I wanted to show you the Patamotsky crater.
You're looking at it.
You're sharing. Yeah, you're sharing.
Keep on there.
Am I on there? No.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on.
So.
Yeah, the Patamotsky crater. I'm going to zoom into that crater because there's some really interesting characteristics of this little thing here. And I say little because it's really just a baby, even though it's 300 and some feet, whatever it is, or more meters. You can see it's a negative, so it has a dome in the middle, and then a pile of this would be limestone-based material outside of it, so it's negative.
Okay. Yep.
It was a negative charge, and it pulled all that limestone out of the ground. And then they did notice that it's all magnetized, even though it's limestone, it has a magnetic field to it. And if you measure to the south of it, you'll find that there's another charge hit. Only this one created, hang on, I'll zoom out a little bit to the line. There it is. So this one's actually like another crater, but it's full of water. So this one was interesting because it's a double negative. So not only can you do a positive negative, you can do a double negative or a double positive if the charge differential is right, is set up right. Now, I looked up this Padmotsky crater for the history of it. There's been expeditions out there to try and measure it, and they've done some work on it. But what's interesting is it occurred about, they figure, 400 years ago, right around the same cycle of the 1600s and the Middle Ages, when things went bad for a while, right?
Yeah.
But the trees around this, there's some trees that grow around it, and they measured the rings on the trees. So for the first 40 years after the strike, the trees immediately surrounding this crater zone grew twice as fast as any of the other trees in the surrounding forest. The first 40 rings were twice as big as anything else after it recovered from the strike.
Heat.
Whoa.
Negative is the negative ionization. So if you put plants in a negative field, which supports what Ken Wheeler was talking about, if you put a magnetic field underneath the plant and it's negative ions, the plant will grow twice as fast.
That's incredible, isn't it?
So I'm just sharing that because this is important, because, you know, if things tend to start cooling off here and we need to be able to grow plants faster in a shorter season,
we can use that.
Then we need to be able to apply a negative field to it. And then, because if it starts going cold and our season starts shortening, like I'm seeing right now, because our cornfields out here are only 3 feet high and they should be about 4 feet high at this time. Then we need to be able to.
This is humanity saving stuff, brother. It really is, potentially.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get out there, right? So if you're going to do hydroponics in your house, put it in a negative ion field.
And nature is way behind with growing. Also here in Germany, the cornfields and everything should be far more further than they are right now.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing here in Canada. It's there's a 10-acre cornfield here right behind the house, and it's about 40% behind. Easy.
You got a cold snap now, Chris, or something?
Yeah.
Have you seen on the weather?
There's a record-breaking cold snap too, going down through all the way into the New England states and the middle states.
Yeah, a massive heat wave, a really unusual one in the southern Europe, with over 40 degrees. People are dropping dead. You got these cold temperatures in Canada. Really weird.
Well, last year they had a very hot season on the east coast of Canada. It was double the temperature that it was normal. I had a friend over there in the east part of Canada, and he had normally do it in degrees, because we measured the temperature in degrees over here. Normally he had about 5 degrees above Celsius or 10. And now we had 20 and 30.
Yeah.
So it's very much more as normal. It was very hot period even in the spring period. It wasn't even summer. And the summer was even hotter that time period. And it was almost a record high.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's accelerating, isn't it? You got to be able to know
this is exactly what I'm trying to point people to.
I can see what you're doing is a very good thing.
Yeah, take the time.
So can I just jump in quick?
Yeah.
So we've just got a quick something from Wake the Sheeple. He's put it in capitals, so I take it's important. But I think he's trying to explain what you're saying as it's just methane pockets that bubbled up and not something hitting it.
Like a bubble.
So
the Padmotsky crater is not the event in Tunguska was a methane explosion.
I blame Tesla for that. He done his tests exactly the same year as the Tunguska event, so I think he hit the dome and come back down with his tests. That's what I believe with the Tunguska event.
Maybe, yeah.
That's my hypothesis.
Yeah, the electric arc certainly did blow out a crater, blow out a methane pocket there, and we see that in Canada all the time too. Like you'll get the crater will collapse, then if the lightning strike hits up in the permafrost, and it'll just blow out a crater. I've actually heard them go off, like, because I worked up there quite a while.
You think the Grand Canyon is caused by this arcing, or we got rips, which they blame on tectonic movement or fault lines in Britain? One called Cheddar Gorge, which is a giant rip in the earth, fields, and then a rip in Avon in southern England. And I've I looked at this place and I thought, there's no way. And I went home and checked on my tectonic charts, and there's a few ribbons or fault lines, they say, going through this area, but not there. And I thought, well, whatever caused it? Well, to me, it's arcing. To me, could it happen on the scale of the Grand Canyon? Because it's not that river. If that happens, then these rivers all over the world will give you canyons of the same style. So that's not the river. So what's caused Grand Canyon? Could it be this arcing? There's another thing in culture. You know that Göbekli Tepe that's been discovered? They reckon it's the oldest in society, in civilization, just after the Ice Age 10,500 years ago. Well, there's evidence on one of them, if it's a reality, of this catastrophe of arcing from the sky.
Absolutely.
And it shows you pictures of it on there. So, and they went underground.
Can I just say one thing? Excuse me, Martin. Sorry for breaking in there. Just to introduce that Jeremiah has joined us on the Hangout. Hello, Jeremiah.
Hello. Hey, Jeremiah.
What's happening?
We've asked Jeremiah to come on because he plays with drones. That is Jeremiah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, actually.
Right on.
Cool.
Hey, Jeremiah, how you doing?
Yeah.
Jeremiah, I'll just tell you who's on the panel today. We have, with the square and the 5, that's Artis.
Hi. Hello.
The one with the orange symbol in the middle, the black, that's Chris. Artis is from Germany. Chris is from Canada. Dee, UK, you know Dee. Then we've got Martin Liedtke, UK.
Hi, mate.
We've got Series. Patricia. We've got Stan Smith, UK. Patricia's UK. We've got he's UK. So this is Jeremiah from America.
Hey, man. Hello.
Hi, man.
Oi.
Talking about drones.
Oh, Chris was showing something there.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off my video
Chris.
because I'm trying to install a radio receiver into my my new plane, so I can go like 20 miles. So we'll see.
Hi.
Cool.
That's cool, man.
Right on. Yeah, the reason I was calling on Jeremiah for some help is because the Canadian government here in Canada has essentially grounded all drones within, you can't go any higher than 90 meters and within 500 meters of the person operating it.
I wouldn't ask the FDA. No way.
They've grounded it, and if they catch you within, they've got all these specs now within 15 kilometers of any airport, blah blah blah. It's a $3,000 to $5,000 fine and 90 days in jail.
Oh, I made the offer at the FDA.
Oh, just don't write your name on the drone, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I have to drive off myself somewhere else because I live right by an Air Force airport. So I have to drive out about 3 kilometers. Well, I'm sorry, about 7 kilometers from here, at least.
Too many rules.
Yeah.
Not only that.
So now Jeremiah is here. I was going to share the screen here for the design project potential here that we've been looking at doing. If you can see it there.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I don't know. With the drone part, the only thing about that is the high altitude. It'd be a lot harder for the drone to have any lift, but it's going to have the balloons. But as it's falling, it shouldn't have a problem stabilizing when it's falling.
Yeah, I got what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to just render this so you can actually see it in a picture a little bit better. So the basic idea that I wanted to discuss in person was that, so the drone remains inactive at first. There would be a couple of gyros in this part in the middle here. I got a little bit of just a cargo area for components and, measuring devices, temperature, altitude, barometric pressure, radiation, and a couple of gyros to stabilize it. So when you let it go, it pretty much should stay on point as it rises within reason. And the drone stays inactive at launch until it gets to 100,000, roughly 110,000 feet. And the drone is only for recovery, basically.
Yeah.
But what I do then is at 110,000 feet, there'd be a blow plug. Oops, let me render that again. Sorry. Render. Grab Z. See here. Where is... Well, it's not doing that. Grab Z. 1 second. Where's the rocket? There we go. Get back out. So you get to 100,000 feet, because I don't want to go too high because the pressure, just in case, so a little bit of a safety there. So you get to 100,000 feet, and then you just have a blow plug at the top of the canister that pops here, and the rocket ignites, because you have to carry enough oxygen in the cylinder so that the rocket can start the burn, because it's a solid fuel rocket. Once the burn starts, then the rocket can take off and carry a secondary camera up with it, maybe 1 or 2 cameras. And then these are valves. Like, so in the carriage system here, you have a valve system on the helium balloons. So that after the rocket launches, you just trigger what's the technical term for them? Basically, they're just remote control valves, essentially, right? You just pre-program them. The relay would trigger at altitude, and then they would just release a little bit of pressure from these balloons, so that it can come back down to the 5,000 foot altitude for your drone operations under the FCC, right? You hit 5,000 feet, and then the drone should be able to pick up your signal and then fly itself back home on your pre-programmed waypoint to bring all this back in one piece. That's the basic idea.
Yeah, you can pre-program the drone to come back by itself and land and everything all by itself.
Yeah, so the drone is only there for that operations of between 5,000 feet and home base, so it doesn't actually turn on until it reaches that altitude. So the trick is going to be able to turn. You have to have an on-off switch that is on the return cycle. We got to put in a relay so that only on the return back. So it passes 5,000 feet once, and when it hits 5,000 feet on the return home, it'll turn itself on, and then cycle home, just automatically pre-programmed. That's the tricky part. These balloons here, I don't have them to scale because I'm just figuring out it's about 1 kilogram per meter cubed or whatever. I got to figure out the actual scale of these balloons, and they'll be bigger than this, obviously, to take it all up. But that's the general idea. So,
you know, I was thinking we could do a carbon body with helium in it.
I was going to try and do carbon fiber composites with them, like on a film, right? That make this carbon fiber, and then put a mylar, and then maybe another layer of carbon fiber, so you can pull a strong vacuum on these and make them smaller, and pull a strong vacuum, because vacuum actually lifts better than helium. But then the issue is you can't really, once it's up there, you can't put air back into it to bring it down, right? So you'd have to be able to. There might be enough atmosphere there to bring, you know what I mean? You pop the valves and then let whatever is up there for atmosphere to come into it based on the vacuum, and then it should drop. But then you'd have to have a pump in here to add air to the vacuum as it drops to pump air back in. So you'd have to reverse the process, but it might work based on vacuum also.
Yeah, so you'd have to test.
Maybe you could use an air sensor in that you can actually measure the air in how far you can actually have a sort of measurement of point. So before you.
That's what I was thinking, right? Yeah. Yeah.
See, how high could you make that go? Like, if you didn't want to launch a rocket, say we just wanted to put a drone up there.
The maximum's about 120,000 feet is about the maximum for balloons of any kind, because they just tend to, there's not enough atmosphere up there to carry them any higher, and they just pop because of negative pressure. They just pop in reverse. So that's why the rocket, in theory, should take it another couple, 200,000 or 300,000 feet potentially, if it's a 3-foot rocket with one of the biggest solid cells you can get on it.
Oh no, I'm thinking at first we just have we don't put the rocket on there, we put the drone up there, and then we get as much data from that as we can, and then we strap a rocket to it and just let her have it.
Yeah. That was kind of my plan. Yeah, I was going to try and do it in
relation system for ourselves to actually manage the localization of the thing itself. How does it itself actually position itself at a certain height eventually? Because
well, even my drone, my Phantom, I've got a DJI Phantom, and that's GPS located, and that thing on quite a blustery day, you know, you can send it up and it'll stay relatively still when it's up there. So the technology's there. It's just putting it all together and making something.
Yeah, what's the limits? Really cool. What's the limits, Jeremiah, on drone actually being able to communicate to the ground unless you install special radio transmitters?
Well, I don't know. Depends on the receiver. Actually, I've actually saw a guy, which I don't know if y'all seen it yet, but a guy on YouTube actually had a live feed going to his drone. Well, it was actually an airplane, but he actually got it to coast back down to him. But he did live feed. I think it was well, for us it'd be 1.3 gigahertz for video to view it. And to actually control it, it was 433 megahertz for the signal, and able to reach it at that high altitude. And as far as that, I mean, the only thing you would need is good antennas.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. And he doesn't make it back to where he wants to, does he? He ends up crashing it in some trees.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
But he was still able to send a video and everything, and he needs 1.3 gigahertz video transmitter for that.
It's all doable. You don't even need to have video, do you? Like a live video feed, we could record, and as long as it was timed and it knew what it was doing itself to come back down, and then we could pick up the feed to guide it back in if need be. There's all things we're gonna have to. There's a lot of testing and a lot of trial and error, isn't it?
What I'm seeing is it's like a multi-stage device, right? It's got the propellers for one stage, it's got the buoyancy of the balloons for another, and then the rocket's the final stage, right?
Then the two stages for home. Yeah, it's 5 stage. Yeah.
Oh, right. Cool. So each one will have its limit.
Yeah.
And then it's just literally like connecting them together. It's almost like playing Kerbal Space Program. Yeah,
exactly right. It's the initial launch is the first stage of the balloons. It takes up to 110,000 feet. Then you get the secondary trigger that'll let the rocket go, and then the third is the balloons would actually deflate slightly and then bring it back down, and then the fourth stage would be to start to fly home, and then you're landing. So if you technically be like 6 stages altogether. But, yeah. Yeah, they kind of really.
The weather balloons, what are they made out of?
Well, there's various. You can make them out of just a standard Mylar type weather balloon, which is just high strength plastic, rubber type stuff, latex, rubber, that type of stuff. But I was going to try and go with carbon fiber, right? But still be nice and light.
Like a Zeppelin, yeah.
Yeah, then use titanium struts for the valves because I want to be able to put some pressure in them, and so that that's going to take some more thought, and design. But this is just a general idea. So I would do it in stages. Do a test flight to say 10,000 feet without the rocket. Take it up, bring it back. Make sure that'll work. Make sure your valves will work.
Yeah.
Right.
The exact same procedure as like the moon lander. And if you want to see them fails,
we'd end up with a full procedure, like a full procedure book, and record everything as we did it. And because I wanted to get some dosimeter radiation information too, because I want to confirm some of what's his name, Ben Davison's work. He's doing a lot of work with the radiation increases that caused the storm that we had here the other day that took out 7,000 or 8,000 people's power. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. Once you did have something though that was up and running and everything, the sky's the limit, isn't it? So to speak, you could do whatever you wanted with it.
As long as it scales, basically, that's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you can scale it to whatever. Yeah. I mean, I see it not only having for our own research purposes, but it's scalable to to the movie industry, to standard weather applications, and everything else is, I'm just not sure if the governments are going to really want people doing it unless we have to apply for licensing and blah 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 blah. Right?
Yeah, they always try to get you have a ton of paperwork for those kind of things.
Oh, there's places in the world, man. We could send that up.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right? So put our heads together and see who has the least regulations and where to launch it from, which without interference and zero fly zones and whatever, right?
Yeah, well, there's a will, there's a way. There's plenty of us here to bang heads, and there's people in chat, and there's more people. You know, there's people watching that would get involved, and you know, life's funny, isn't it? You always come across the right person at the right time if you need them. You know.
It probably takes a few more talks, doesn't it, about this?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a rough, a quick team together. Get some experts in, like Jeremiah, into the drones and how to wire the.
Jeremiah, will you help us a little?
Yeah.
Definitely, I'll try to do whatever I can from here anyway.
Yeah.
And just in case people don't know, Jeremiah is another member of my group. In fact, I think it's only Stan who isn't.
Oh, sort of come in.
He has to become a member then.
He's not.
What train have I got to jump off?
I don't think you Facebook, do you?
No, I don't do Facebook.
Well, maybe he's a silent member then.
Yeah, so I could use some help from you guys as far as actual weights of drones and what's the maximum size that we could get within a reasonable budget. Say if $5,000 per drone, and how much is it going to weigh?
Oh, it'd be way less than 5,000. I built one at 400.
Yeah, so exactly right. So I don't have the help.
Yeah. Say that again, Jeremiah.
I built one. I built the big one, a 900 millimeter one. It's a it's a drone, but it's a hexacopter for about 400 or 500.
Excellent.
Yeah, if you build them, they're much cheaper than, of course, people that go out and buy them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I could use some information on what a hexacopter, say a 4-footer, would weigh, because it's going to be able to carry the balloons and the rocket and the canister, and it's going to take a payload of whatever 30-40 pounds, right? So I'll have to do some design estimates on the weights of the balloons and the canister, and work that back and forth until we figure out what the whole thing is going to weigh. And
we can always have eight bloody blades on it, can't we? I've seen that before,
Yeah.
No, four's
exactly.
ideal, but you can always get more lift if you need more lift.
Yeah. Sounds like rocket science, then you've got to get the right weight to power ratio.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, right? So, if Jeremiah could send me a rough estimate of a hexacopter of X amount, we'll carry 40 pounds or 30 pounds, and how much that entire system would weigh, then I can take that to the next step and calculate the displacement for the balloons or vacuum and go to the next level.
I've got something to add as well. Do you know, like,
30 pounds, man? Okay.
After looking at all this geometry and that, I'm thinking that the vortex thing, are we using the wrong shape propellers? Maybe there's a more efficient way of kind of getting uplift with the geometry kind of side of it.
Well, you could do a Coanda effect type of propulsion, where you just you spin a vortex type of vacuum propeller on the top, and then do a Coanda effect to give you lift. But I haven't done enough research on it. I think that's actually more efficient than propellers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but just changing the propellers from 2 blades to 3 blades totally changes your drone and the way it behaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jeremiah, what are your drones like then? What have you got on yours?
I got one that carries a Sony Nex camera. It's a 900 millimeter. It's about estimated, I'd say about 2 feet. It's a hex. It carries a pretty heavy S6 battery, which is 22.2 volts. And that battery itself, I would say, is close to about 3 pounds. But I get pretty good distance, and it's pretty heavy drone, but it has pretty good lift on it.
How long does that last?
The most longest I've gotten to last is 11 minutes.
That's a lot of weight, though.
Yeah, and it's got a metal gimbal, a CNC metal gimbal. It's got a huge battery, and the Sony Nex 5 camera.
See, there is probably better batteries, but they're just more expensive.
Yeah, depending on everything, the size and everything that you want it, I would probably go with an S6 battery, but that's going to be a pretty heavy battery. You might be able to make it with a S4, a 4S battery, in which that's a 14.8 volts. That might do it, but for the bigger motors that can handle all that weight, you probably have to go with the 6S battery.
Are the balloons not for sun energy as well? Kind of a sheet of what is it?
When they heat it up, and I've seen that with a big bin liner type tube, and they heat it up, and it's just solar. It just heats, and then it floats, gives lift.
It's like a refrigerator. That's all we need. Just need it to be cooler than the outside, and then it's kind of it'll do it. That's all.
Yeah, the unit. Battery and solar, of course.
Yeah, I see this world as like a big refrigerator unit. It's like it's got its gases, it's got its electrical component, hot and cold.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't you bloody just hit it with some stuff before we sent it up, like some liquid nitrogen or something?
Yeah.
Once it's up there, it's going, isn't it? Once it gets up to a certain height, it becomes easier from the lift.
It just reaches equilibrium, and then it has to kind of
balance out.
Gets to a limit of equilibrium, and then anything more than that is kind of inefficient, basically.
No.
I wasn't sure if Martin was saying anything there, and he was muted.
No, man, I've been stuffing cream cakes. I've been eating cream cake, listening. Yeah, it's really good. It's much more realistic than a steam-powered fucking rocket, that's for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I like it. Do it, push it out, just make it, intend it, and make it happen. It's good.
Plenty of these if it is 400 euros for only the platform, base platform. Or what is it, dollars?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the real SpaceX here going on. This is what's happening here. Then we're going to actually bring it back after we've used it without CGI. It'd be quite good.
Well, that's the idea, right? I want to make it so the only thing you actually have to go chasing down is the nose cone with the camera in it. But the drone will capture camera images too, so there'd be maybe 2 to 3 cameras on it. But it's a returnable platform, so that once you build the first one, then your secondary launches after that is just however much electricity it costs you to charge the batteries and put some gas in it, right? So you can launch it for $50 a pop, right?
Well, these LiPo batteries are next to nothing, really.
Yeah,
they're so cheap.
Would you put a 360-degree camera on it as well?
Oh, I'd have a couple on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm showing on the bottom. On the bottom, there's a 360 camera, and then probably have one on the rocket on the nose. Yep.
Nice.
A battery's affected by cold temperatures. Do they alter in charge, or when high they get up? Is that not a problem with batteries? I mean,
hot batteries work inefficiently. Everything hot.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a problem. They are affected by.
Got to fail on trying to ignite the rocket to take off. Like when you're up there, that would be a bitch. When it was already up there.
But the beauty with it, you could just bring it back down and set it back up and set it back up again.
Then it's a brilliant thing. Yeah, that is something nobody else has managed yet in all of our feet. With all launches, balloon launches, we haven't got no data back. All investment, nothing. If this could work and you get something tangible back from us from the independent FE, that would be fucking awesome. I would support you.
Yeah, the batteries, depending on the type you use, some batteries actually work a lot better in the colder temperatures, like the ones for electric cars. The colder it is, the better they work. I do intend on putting a bit of a housing in there and keeping it warm, like with the resistance warm for the cameras and stuff that are affected by the temperatures. So we got to figure that stuff out too. But
there's some really light insulation. You know, I use it in building all the time. You put it under floors in old buildings and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
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 Like that dome, the dome part there in the middle that I'm showing above the drone isn't actually part of the drone. It's actually a housing unit. And it might actually scale up a little bit, but I was going to purge it with argon, right? So once everything's loaded into it, you just purge it with argon, which is insulator, right? That'll help.
I'll give it a boost.
Yeah, right.
Like doing petrol on your carburetor.
Well, same as your high energy windows that are resist your temperature windows, right? Just purge it with argon, that'll be an insulator. Yeah.
Let's face it, that rocket launcher part could be disposable every time. You could just unscrew that, throw it away, and put a new one on. You know, as long as you got the drone and the balloons.
Well, I got 2 rockets. I got 2. One's 1.5 meter high. It's called an Amazon. And you put this little sort of a firework, basically, called a motor on the bottom, with an electrical little box 250 yards away where you ignite it, and the rocket goes up really slow. And me and my son do it. We got 2 rockets. He won't do it since I'm a flat earther, unfortunately. But yeah, we got 2 rockets, and they're really useful. And they would do that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like Antics or a gaming shop, they're really quite common. And they're not that expensive. You could knock one out for like 30, 40 English pounds, and it would do that a treat. I'm telling you.
Well, you know the flares that you use on a boat that you send up.
Them would be perfect.
Oh, mate, I've sent some of them off before, and it's like, right, that's got some kick in it, you know.
Fucking energy pulls your hand back, brother. Let him off at sea. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So yeah, you could just attach something like that underneath a 360 camera and send it up. I'll be happy with that, you know.
Yeah, man.
You could even put a major rocket in on top of it.
Oh yeah. And that's what I was trying to do with this one is just the basic idea. You know, a lot of the balloon launches. Well, first of all, you lose all your balloons because they pop, and then you got to go chasing the thing down, and you don't know where it's going to end up. But this one here, I mean, it's controllable, so it comes back to you. And the rocket part is just standard rocket, so you would lose the. You want to make that as cheap as you can because you're gonna lose part of it anyway.
See, if you did have trouble as well, I was just looking at this thinking you could run the motors backwards. You could always have that option, so you'd get like a force down rather than So if it was stuck up there, you could possibly rescue it if the valves failed or anything.
Well, yeah, and if you had a pop, like if you had a pop of like a malfunction in one of the balloons and it started coming down too fast, well then the drone will pick it up at 5,000 feet and it should stabilize to bring it back, right? Even if you had a malfunction in the drone, right? Because those things are pretty stable, right? You can move your camera around on them and they'll autocorrect for level.
What about the trade winds up there? What if it catches a trade wind and when you launch the rocket, it catches a trade wind coming out of that funnel and just goes whoosh that way with the wind? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, that's what you got to be careful of, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to work everything out as best we could before you went for something like high altitude.
Kind of
you're looking a bit further into the future. Is this something you'd be looking to open source? Is it, Chris?
Yeah, I would once the designs are there and 3D printable parts, open source it, and I see like I said, I see more applications than just obviously with the flat Earth research. I see it as platform for the movie industry, platforms for atmospheric research, and even search and rescue. Monitoring forest fires. Whatever you can use it for anything, right?
Yeah, like half of a drone, half of a balloon thing. I love it. It's really cool. It really is.
Yeah, you could almost clad it in bloody solar panels as well, so it charged as much as you could. Keep the charge going, keep it up.
You get little small ones like that. No, can't stand that. Not that big.
Yeah. Well, Chris, it would even be cool if you could have a starting point and have a location on that, and have the drone going up and measure if the Earth was moving or not.
That's a good one. That is actually a good one. I'll buy some Coriolis insurance.
Well, you know, since they're programmable, you could send it up and say, if you had a network or a team, say I want to follow that magnetic line from Bunku to the pyramids or whatever, right? You'll launch it, let it go. Since it's solar powered, leave it up there for a week, and then have someone else that has the same frequencies, right? You just got to share the radio SIM cards or whatever, and bang.
I like it.
And then bring it down, right? So I could actually send it from wherever, but.
Wow.
Then you're talking about international flight regulations, right?
Well, I don't know. How high can they sit? How high have we got to worry about? How high is radar?
Well, 110,000 feet. I mean, well, radar goes, it'll bounce right
Jeremiah might
Depends
know
on how high
that
the
stuff.
plane is.
Jeremiah might know a bit more about that.
I don't even know if they'd pick that up, would they? A tiny thing like that.
That was under 1,000 feet. They would have no control over monitoring it.
Yeah, what if we actually discovered their whole balloon industry?
We could.
Yeah, film it. Hello, look, there's one up here just like this.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
a party or something, all them balloons.
We know they're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but I have heard of people using transceivers and stuff because of FAA rules.
Yeah.
So you can try to get around the pinging of the system if you use a transceiver. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's ways about everything. You just got to think.
Yes.
Or do you mean, Jeremiah, do you mean that you have to install a ping if you're up that high? It has to ping the system so that they know where it is? Like,
I'm not sure about the whole pinging, but I've heard of course, a light and possibly a transceiver. I'm not 100% sure on that. I have to look into it a little bit more, but you might have to have a ping.
Well,
we'd have to have a look and then see what would be the best scenario, wouldn't we? Like I say, just no one write your name on anything. And
shoot it out the air.
The deniability is great.
Deniability.
I use it. It's not flat. It's not flat. That's not mine.
yeah, I just want to be able to, launch it, keep it within international regulations so that nobody's going to prison for 15 years or whatever. But do it as an actual program, like Virgin.
There must be somewhere you can launch that.
Oh yeah. Well, you'd have to
speak to someone, give them a bit of money and pay their license fee.
That'd be the best. Save you a lot of elevation on sea level. Go from the top of the mountain. Gain whatever the height of the mountain is. Elevation.
Chris, was it for you to look to actually sort of launch this thing from the ground or from the air anyway?
Well, it would launch from the ground, and then once it's at altitude, then the rocket's a secondary launch. Yeah. But the thing I'm looking into is to try to figure out, which country or launch zone has the best regulations for international launch protocols and tracking protocols, radar, registrations and blah blah blah. Because you got to register the crystals in your radios and like all that stuff if you're going into the FAA, right? It's right. Even the frequency of the crystals in the radio they're using to communicate to the ground has to be registered as a signal. So that's it takes time.
Yeah, that's like, I'm thinking of some dodgy country we just go to that's going to let us do what we want. There's plenty of them places left.
In the Sahara.
So I don't know what things are like in your area, Jeremiah. What's the regulation for your drones?
Say again.
What's the regulations?
What's the regulation?
Yeah, for your drone launches. Yeah.
Well, I have to get out of this immediate area anyway. I can't, like I said, I have to drive out a little ways, but for the immediate area, I can't. I can have a little drone, but I definitely can't have a plane. So I have to drive out of the area because I literally live right beside the airport, like 2 miles away from one. So I have to drive out, but I really don't. I really don't go by the regulations. I'm like I said, I'm about to do a long distance, and you're supposed to be within viewable. You're supposed to have. If you're gonna be flying FPV like I do, you're supposed to have somebody that's going to be a spotter for the plane.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're supposed to have a spotter.
And eyes on target, right? You got to have eyes on target for your drone to. Yeah.
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 I have pretty good equipment. So I've gone 2 miles off of 5.8 gigahertz, and I've gotten clear video. So I'm trying to push for further.
I got some contacts too. Maybe I'll talk to some folks that might be interested in, if the footage is high quality enough and it's stable and stabilization on the camera and whatnot. The footage capture itself could be usable for film industry and whatnot. So it might be able to get registration and legal launches if you're actually going through somebody else as a with a purpose to use the footage as a licensing type of thing, right?
Yeah.
If you know anybody that's into doing music videos, movies, whatever, etc., like commercials, that type of stuff. Try to work your way around it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't know anybody that really does it, but I'm sure people have thought about it and stuff. It's just that there are regulations for it, and able to make a buck off of it, you have to register.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Ads, promos, things like that, Chris?
Yeah, like if you were to go.
I can help with all of that. I know everybody. I know graphic designers. I can get ads. I know all sorts made that, and just sort of the people who put them out on big channels and that. I can help you. If
you have someone that's into like the actual like doing advertisements and like the film industry. I mean, like in the film, right?
Oh no, don't do shit. No.
Yeah, because you could have their company do the registration and the licensing through their company, and then you just
maybe just write to them and suggest it. Maybe that I'm doing this, and it would make a brilliant documentary. Think about it.
Yeah,
good. Loads of ideas for this. Snack to the Future was just asking, Chris. Is there anywhere that we could sort of all the flat earthers or Snack was just suggesting, could you add to it or just eyes on it or suggest with it or just put their ideas in with it anyway?
Yeah, I think anyone's got an idea we want to hear it because it might be just the idea we want to hear,
Exactly that. That's what I was thinking when Snack done it, and there's good minds in it.
I was going to suggest doing a hangout on this subject, maybe trying to get some ideas on the actual platform itself, how much it's going to cost, how to fund it, all that kind of stuff. Maybe do a hangout purely on this one project, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a long one though, It's going to go on and on. It's going to be like once a week sort of drone talk, for a long time.
I was just going to say to Jeremiah, well, Jeremiah's got to come back, but he's quite busy. But you'll come back on some of them, will you, Jeremiah?
Oh yeah, I always try to make them.
Jeremiah obviously is a different time zone to us, and he's just got home from work, haven't you?
Yep.
Oh. Somebody got to do it.
I have to come back now because we're going to need probably some help from you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, all right, I got no problem with that.
Hey, I bet you didn't think that we'd be like having hangouts about drones, hey?
It was only a moment. It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, I'd like to definitely look at setting up something a bit of a basically something specific to the project where people can contribute. Maybe it's just a simple little website where if you get ideas, you can post your ideas and sketches, drawings, ideas, this, that, whatever. You have something to bring to the project as an open source community effort. Well, it could be either you could either be helium or vacuum, depending on.
NASA own all the helium on Earth.
Oh yeah, yeah. They suck up a lot of it, yeah.
Well, 98% of it is that they own.
Yeah.
Hey, Turquoise Dragon, what do you make of all this then? Drones.
Yeah, it's great that it's been allowed to well, the public's been able to buy stuff like this now, do you know? Like only 30, 40 years ago, I guess it was military only, and now it's like 60 years, whatever has passed, and they release it to us.
True.
But yeah, it's great that we've got our own space agency. I like that.
The sun and moon.
I am. I got no choice in the matter. I got to get on with a bin full of mail and about 200 comments because I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow because I'm going to be on that radio show. So I ain't got a choice.
Okay, well, Martin, before you go, can you just explain what you're doing tomorrow? Again,
I'm going on Raconteurs News, which is a mainstream news outlet. I'm going to be on a podcast. They've been looking to speak to a flat earther, so they want to do an flat earther, me. And it's just like I spoke to him yesterday about what kind of questions. So I basically stated I didn't want to be taken out of context. I didn't want to be set up in any way because I've already actually fell into this when I went on a radio show in Boston when I was there to be ridiculed. And I'm not going to be doing that.
Martin, can I suggest, mate? Try not to go on a tangent. Stick to the subject. Stick to the question. Don't let them get you on a sidetrack. Yeah.
I will not. I will keep it straight and simple. And the questions are all going to be NASA orientated. So that's just for me. I've been banging them out for years now. So that's nothing. They're not going to go deep. They don't understand deep. They're just scratching the surface. This guy, the producer, he comes home and he plays flat earth videos all night. And he's a fan of mine. So that's going to help. The guy who runs the station, he's obviously not a flat earther, or whoever, the people that run it are not, obviously. But this guy who's basically headhunted me is on the fence at the moment. He's really loving it. So there's good points to this. There's a lot of.
What time is this tomorrow, Martin? What time is it?
Between 8 and 10 tomorrow night on Raconteurs News. And if you want to know about the station, I might post that I did about 2 hours ago. There's a link in there straight to the radio station. Now they deal with good subject matter, medical marijuana or health facts or false flags or really good top subject matter and not taken out of context subject matter. So there's good potential with this. There really is. I've been listening to quite a bit of them to see what kind of people they are, and they don't seem all demonic like this last radio station I encountered. They were demonic. They were doing all these devil horn things on their website. So it's not like that. So yeah, it's good. So that'll be tomorrow night at
thank you for that. So everybody can listen in to you tomorrow. Also, is there a Cardiff meet coming up?
Yeah, that's going to be coming up. Thank you, Karen, for that. There's quite a few going. It's on the 27th of August on a bank holiday weekend on a Sunday. So if you are travelling, make sure you bear in mind that it's Sunday and it'll be Sunday service, although it'll be extra services because it's bank holiday weekend. Just bear it in mind if you're travelling to Wales. Easy place to get to, Cardiff Bay, and it's underneath the Pierhead building. Now there's a little promo on my channel for it, and Mark Sargent's going to be doing one for me and putting it on his channel. So there'll be a lot of eyes on it. So it's going to be the first ever flat earth mixer in Wales in history, because I'm loving this history making business. Exactly. And there's quite a few people going, and it's going to be on my own territory. So basically I'll be able to let my hair down because I'll be home, and do whatever I want to do because I'll be home, and introduce people to my beautiful country, because we keep a welcome in the hillside and we are good hosts. So, and it's so much to do then. If your bucket's down, it's Britain, there's a million things to do as well. So it's a good place to be. So I hope everyone joins me in Wales on the 27th Sunday of August. I look at promos on my channel if you need any information. Contact me, mattleaker7gmail.com. You've got that.
Yeah,
thanks,
I'll
guys.
put a link in the description as well about you, Martin.
Yeah. In the conferences tomorrow on the thing, because I did mention it. We got a conference coming up. I'll give them shouts and the international one.
It turned into what do you call it? I've just gone out of my brain now. A convention.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. Oh, that's one minute. Can I just say quickly? I'm gonna be organising this FE stock, and it's a reality because this happened. It's already envisioned, and I had an epiphany moment, and I see all these people camping out because when you had that drone flight in Cornwall, a couple of weeks ago, then the moment hit. I thought, well, this is just like a corner of the field in Glastonbury. We could fill up a site, no problem. Music, our sort of living, the way we, our flat earth lifestyle is an attractive proposition to anyone, and we'll have an FE festival, an FE stock. and it's doable. So I'm going to try and find somewhere, and other people are already thinking the same. They want in it. I want it. Thousands and thousands of flat earthers together by next.
The FE UK meet that happened last weekend, the big camp out. That's Maker's Height in Cornwall, yeah, and they do raves there quite often. So I'm sure it'd be quite easy to sort out something there.
Right. Well, that's a bonus. Have they got any facilities like toilet or anything like that? Or
yeah, they've got toilets, a calf, all that kind of stuff there. Yeah, and it's just up. It's like a 10-minute walk from Millbrook as well. So it's not like far away from like.
What about travelling there? Is it just a train down through Hutchins Hostel and all of that? Is it? And then
yeah, I imagine there's a bit of travelling involved. Yeah, because it is like down in Cornwall, so it's like just across the walk.
I like it. Yeah. I was wanting something a bit more like that's what I was thinking. Mine. I want something central that everyone could get to, and if people are going to fly, you never know over here. Something that people can get to central. I don't know. Cornwall's lovely though. I would love it there, and if they take thousands. And what if thousands turn up, which is a potentiality, isn't it? That by next year, thousands more, and how many millions more would join with the way this is going. It don't take a genius to work.
That's what I always fancy. Festival.
And I've been thinking festivals since the beginning, and I've been looking at this guy who arranged Glastonbury, and this guy was just a bog standard bloke who had a vision. And he had a vision to get this together, and he built a stage out of scaffolding. I know a scaffolder. They got some bands who were willing to play for nothing. I know musicians who are willing to play. So FE Music, and it's a doable thing. It's a doable thing. You had Darren on there. He'd be happy to pluck one up for us, I'm sure. So, and we all put tents up and we all have a funky FE time. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I really do. And I know everyone else will as well. I know that by the state of my mail tonight. Everyone's like, I got this idea. I got that idea. So it's like instantly.
Another one now. Drones.
Got to admit, push it all forward. Any plan, anything that is basically from the flat earthers, the real people, is a beautiful thing. I'm happy to witness it. Anything outside of that, I'm not so happy about, if I'm honest. But I do love the real flat earthers. Thank you, Karen, for the effort you make for bringing people together.
It's a pleasure. Come on. I don't know who's going to come back, but on our channel, we give hugs.
I got to get on with this. I got about 200 odd comments. I got about 20 odd mail, and I'm going to be up to about 5 doing this now. And I will be. But if I don't do it tonight, I'll do it tomorrow.
Who's going to come back and give Martin a hug?
Yeah, then click on. Nice to meet you all. Good to see you as well. All right, Chris Monk. I knew a Chris Monk when I was a teenager.
Yay!
He owes me 20 quid.
Hug Martin for tomorrow in your radio show.
Okay. What's my dandruff? I don't get dandruff. Sorry?
We're sending you hugs for your podcast tomorrow.
Don't worry, I'll back one up for the team. All right, this is I don't do like selfish invasive and stuff. This is going to be a clear point for the movement, and that is it. In my prime directive when I get there tomorrow. They're going to be soppy on Skype, and it's going to be a big audience. It'll be more than the usual 100 I get. So that'll be fun.
Nice chat with you, Martin. Take care.
I will.
One last time,
Chris, you're genius. I freaking love your stuff. I really do. Taught you for about 3 centuries. I'm probably just good on you, brother.
Martin, you're missing on the hug.
Likewise, yeah. Good stuff.
I'm not. I'm not gay.
All right.
Where's our hug?
Anyway, guys, I got a bounce. I'm going to get off. Anyway, peace and love. Be good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, Karen, for throwing my shit. I'll see you later. Ciao, guys. Good.
Light up.
Yeah. Bye.
I suppose you want to go back to a bit of drone talk now.
Don't sound so disappointed.
To make it go faster.
Oh no, I think it's brilliant.
Well,
I
no,
think
I was just reading on the. I was just googling like the best countries to fly a drone, and it says Sweden, Japan, France, or the UK, and New Zealand are one of the leading like drone builders at the minute. So there's a few countries that are willing to let you experiment by the looks of things.
Would it not go upside down if you went to New Zealand then?
Relative to somebody
Very
else.
funny, Patricia.
Yeah, I think we could stage it, right? I think Jeremiah in the US could help us out with some low altitude testing and proof of concept until we get it, to the first stage. And this works, that works. It's going to take some time, right?
Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, and then maybe the final launch country would be the UK, perhaps. Whoever has the least amount of regulations, and we can register it for international testing. And
Stan.
Yeah, there's enough here in the UK that we can all club together and sort of work out if need be, or I'll be willing to travel to make it happen.
Yeah.
We have to make it happen. Need to know.
And Chris, this whole point about this rocket, just explain to the chat room what it is that you're hoping then with the rocket and drone.
Yeah, the balloon with the drone on it would take us to 110,000 feet, and then the rocket, because the canister will have a bit of air in it to start the rocket ignition, because we'll be at near vacuum. Would be to take it to the, hopefully it has enough thrust to take it even higher, and just let it go as high as it'll go. Because when even like the Go Fast rocket, I think it went to 73 kilometers. But the majority of that is just getting up out of the initial lower atmosphere where it's so heavy, right? So this way, you take it up with the balloon, you don't have to expend all that energy getting it to 110,000 feet, which is pretty much the limit of where things you can actually start to see something.
If the sun was out, I expect you could bloody have it just hover there from solar power. If it was buoyant enough, you could
once
kick everything in and
so the rocket will take you from 110,000 feet to whatever 400,000 feet, whatever, and you could leave the drone there on the balloons as long as you wanted, and then bring it down slow. So it's a multi-function project.
Yeah, I see it being an awesome tool,
So what do you think of it all, Jeremiah?
Sounds pretty good. I'm interested to see how it all comes out at the end.
So just explain to people what you do with your drones then. You've got a couple, haven't you?
Yeah, I got several drones. I got a quadcopter I gave to my wife. I have a hexcopter. I got one that crashed. It just gave up on me. It just fell out of nowhere. I got 4 planes that just started that one. And I have 3 racers. One of them's fully built.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've got a racer. I've never flown it though. I've got a little mini drone that fits in my hand, and I've got a Phantom, and then I've got a race one. But the race one, I've started it on the floor and kept my foot on it. I didn't want it taken off.
Yeah, I got one. It's not small. It's about 210 millimeters. It's one that can hold a camera. I'm still practicing with it. We're about to go out and join up with a couple of people that flies here in a bit, actually.
Yeah, I think mine's a 250 race one.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit bigger, but same thing. But yeah, I've not flown that one yet. I'm saving that.
Yeah, when we should start getting a hang of them.
Yeah, I've been practicing with the little one, and I can, land it on the cat and stuff. So I'm getting quite good at it. The cat loves it. It flies by the cat, and it's just ripped out of the air instantly. It's not. I didn't even see it there. But yeah, I'm getting better at flying, and taking it to the big stuff. So another step, though, isn't it?
Cool.
Yeah, the flying is something.
So, if Chris makes all this, does it mean that you have to pick a certain day for it to go? I mean, I know you don't want it going out in torrential rain, but would weather push it off, or?
It'd have to be waterproof, just in case.
Yeah, it's we'd have to be selective with the weather and launch location, and it depends on what data we want to collect as well, right?
It would be like SpaceX,
We
cancel some flights and have a few technical hitches, and it'd be proper.
Oh yeah. Yeah, whether you want to, your first launch, you want it as far north as you can get or as far south as you can get, because obviously you want to see or what we're looking for.
Like full moon.
Yeah.
Eclipse.
Yeah, try and pick something like that. That's quite, it's worth the trip, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
pick it, lunar eclipse, or try and get a lunar eclipse, or like a solar eclipse. Yeah.
New moon.
New moon.
You'd be out there all the time with it. Like, if you could make it happen, you'd have it up there as all that you could. It'd be flying.
Jeremiah, you've got like these drones. Do you do stuff with the moon and that and the sun? Does it look different when you use your drones, or does it look the same as with the camera?
It's quite the same. I haven't really done too much with it. I think the furthest up I've been so far is about 500 feet looking at the moon. Other than that, it's pretty much the same.
So how high does your drone go up then?
High as I'll let it go up. As high as I feel safe with it going up. The furthest I've been is 2,500 feet. And with this one, the furthest I've been with is probably about 1,200. I don't really go up too far with my big one because that one carries the Sony Nex 500, and that's a pretty expensive camera. I don't want to crash.
And just ask, cool, who's got that bike? Just asking, how high do you want yours to go?
Was that to me, was it?
Yeah, how high do you want yours to go?
For the launch?
Yeah, well, the whole thing. How high would you, with the rocket, how high are you hoping to go?
Oh, well, the balloon with the drone attached in the first launch would be, the goal would be about 110,000 feet. And then the rocket would be however far it goes. Like if there's enough atmosphere there and air to push off, it just let it go and see how far it goes. So that's kind of an unknown. It might go, another couple 100,000 feet. Because once it starts, right, it'll start at 110,000 feet. So there's little air resistance there to push against as it launches. So it's just going to be pure thrust from there forward.
Well, worst case scenario, it doesn't go out of the chute and it just blows up and
or it doesn't come back. It goes so far that it just kind of stays there. I don't know. I can't see that happening, but yeah, it'd be an
Another
interesting.
quick, it's a bit weird. Like you've got a big jumper on, and it's August.
Yeah, it's cold. Yeah.
I noticed Series had one on yesterday.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be August.
Yeah, this is my big one. Right, I can curl right up in it.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I got somewhere to go, y'all.
Yeah.
So you'll come back soon, Jeremiah, and you'll talk to Chris and I suppose Stan and Chris then.
Yeah, sure. Just send me a text and I'll be online.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yep. All right, no problem. So I'll talk to y'all later.
I've got to come back and give you a hug now.
Yeah.
Can't we? You have to give the hugs. Hey, Jeremiah, come back for a moment.
I'm here.
Good to see you, Jeremiah. It's been a bit of a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if we will come.
Yeah, Jeremiah's moved and so forth. Hello, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi.
Yay. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, because I know you just got in from work when you came on. And
running around.
more drone talk then.
Take care, Jeremiah.
All right.
See you soon,
Thanks.
Jeremiah.
I can talk to you in person. Yeah, great.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Next time.
See you soon, mate.
Bye.
We have been on for over 3 hours now. It's great talking today. I just wondered, Turquoise Dragon, do you have anything else to say about your stuff? Because you were showing us some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a continuous thing, really. I'm learning every day. Just pick up a compass and draw a little bit, and I learn. You know, it's just trying to show somebody else what I've learned, even though I don't really know what I've learned. I just kind of, do you know what I mean? I know I've learned something. I know I'm like understanding it more, but I can't. It's hard to, without showing somebody, pick up a compass.
Series is smiling there, aren't you, Series?
It's hard for them to understand what I'm saying, you know, unless they actually pick up a compass and start messing around with numbers and geometry. So that's my next.
I bet you all feel like that, don't you? You've learned something and you turn around and you're trying to explain it to someone else who doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Over people's heads sometimes. Even the simplest of stuff.
Think about it. If you have what you can see, you have where you could think about, you have what you can put in words, you have what you actually say to people, and you have what the people actually understand.
Yeah.
Then the bubble gets small.
There needs to be reciprocal, like almost like I'm a chef, okay, right, and I'm making these meals for people, and I'm hoping they'll enjoy it. I'm like bite-sized, you know, like a bit of information here and there. There's a lot of people with different tastes out there, so I need to kind of cater, in the perfect word, to many different people and different learning styles, this and that. So yeah, I'm just kind of battling with that right now, just trying to get at least what I've learned out there a bit more mainstream.
Yeah, and in a few weeks' time, you'll be on to something else.
Oh, yeah.
Turquoise. There'll be something else to learn.
But it'll be linked to the first thing, because everything's linked.
Yes, that's it, because everything connects onto the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if you had any photographs. It was actually, you've made a video. Just explain a little bit about your video, because you've put that out today, haven't you?
A geometry one. Yeah, I do it every now and then. Yeah, it's just you know, the flow of life. Just everyone's kind of seen that new agey kind of like flow of life. Then it turns into this, then the next layer, the next layer, the next layer. But yeah, just a different way of there's possibilities, I guess. Because there's rules with the geometry, but you've kind of got the free will of choice. Like, do I want to put the circle there? Do I want to put it here? You've got many different like options, like pixels, I call them, where they cross over these vortex or vertices, basically. But yeah, it's something that even this is what fascinated me the first time, is all the cymatics and how sound kind of affects matter, and that's pretty much what we're experiencing through life. So I thought that's links with music and colors and everything. Brilliant. But it's just trying to kind of yeah, make a universal class or like a course or something, because it's all linked. There just needs to be a way of presenting it, representing it, because it's already there, you know. That's all I'm doing. I'm representing something that already exists in bite-sized chunks, and hopefully I can make it like a buffet, and people can just come and pick and choose. Some people might like the video aspect, the geometry side, the astrology side. It links with that from any level. I mean, you can overlay the circle over everything, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, really. That's what I'm trying to do.
So, in a sense, nearly all of us have to turn into Santos Bonacci.
Well, it did put a few things together for me. I met a few people through his work as well. Pretty much one of the first stepping stones into looking at the more spiritual side, using the internet for more spiritual seeking rather than like games or this and that and this and that. So it's a massive library, and it can be abused, but it should be used.
Yes, well, it's all been abused, and hopefully we're just starting to set the record straight about things. and it's the people that have to do it.
Yeah, we'll rely on other people to do things for us, but this is like the whole coming together thing. We need to, as a community, be across the earth. We're still a community, still interacting, and just bringing different things to the table.
Which we are, hopefully.
Passions too. You can't be literally jack of all trades, else you wouldn't be very good at any of them. You know what I mean? We need these people who are dedicated in this, dedicated in that, and then we all get together, and then we've got professionals in this and that, and engineers and this profession, that profession, so we can get a good grasp of the whole.
It's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? And like Stan will bring his bit, Series is doing his, Dee's, we're all doing it. Dee, Chris, artists, Patricia, we're all doing our bit.
Yeah, I said this a while ago. It's like everyone's born with like a certain like fingerprint, blueprint, whatever, astrology. It's all unique to us. Our time, place on Earth, positioning. We've got kind of a story laid out for us just when we're born and where we're born. So like coming together, we're getting different aspects of this whole, like if you look at the zodiac, you want to look at astrology, or even the whole senso spinaci thing. The zodiac's overlaid on the body parts as well, and like you've got the Pisces in the feet and Aries in the head, and it kind of links round. The color wheel kind of starts and ends. The 0 degrees is also the 360 degrees, the alpha omega kind of thing. So yeah, it's just an interesting thing. Once it's like a template almost. Like I can put this wheel over color, I could put it over astrology, and it'll still fit. It'll still work because it's all to do with this spacing and the geometries of spacing. What's the word?
And it's about the people sort of re-educating themselves or educating themselves to understand all this. By the end of it, we'll all be scientists.
Well, it
is a bit like that, isn't it?
Technological.
Kind of chemical masters.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't mean to sound rude either to anybody, because it's not really, but the only way I can sort of find it is that flat Earth is sort of a very intellectual thing, isn't it? Because there's just so much to learn, and you're not going, well, when I went shopping today, now you're talking about really technical things and you're trying to understand it all. It's quite it's a very deep thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's science, really. It's just a re-evaluation of what we used to call science, and now we can do it ourselves. All for experience. So
yeah, it's like a return to natural sciences based on an actual solid foundation rather than spinning balls that make your head spin. Right? Yeah.
It sounds so silly, doesn't it, when you say that now and you think that you're on a ball? But it does take rather a long time to actually de-educate yourself from the ball life. But people are doing it. Anyway, thank you so much for that, Turquoise. And Stan, your comments on tonight.
Yeah, it's been great, as always. Most enjoyable.
It is. So, drone talk now.
Yeah, that's going to be a long talk.
I still am a bit shocked with the bit you've told us about the skies are a rainbow. I haven't got over that one yet. That's all, not the clouds, is it? Although I suppose it happens with the clouds.
No, the clouds are sort of flat with the ground. It's just the
sun and the moon.
Yeah, the stars.
And the stars.
Yeah, everything. Like, apart from the clouds. The sky's sort of detached and away from the ground. They're like two separate things.
Sorry, can I interrupt a minute?
Patricia.
Yeah, I've got a voice. I'm gonna get off now, but it's been really fascinating.
Oh, I was coming to you in a moment. Carry on then. You say it's been a really nice what?
Hangout as usual. And just going back slightly what you were saying about education, I was never pre-programmed for the ball. So, but since I realised that what I actually thought, but never really thought about it, if that makes sense, about us not spinning. So much research, information overload, but it's great. I've never been an intellectual person. Because I'm bringing kids up, and it's always been about cartoons and things for them. So it's great now that I can actually research what I want to research, not what anyone tells me I should do or these hangouts. I just love the hangouts because I learn so much. I don't always retain it. I'm struggling with that a bit, but when something actually hits me, I think, oh yeah. Was it Thomas Thompson or something a week or two back? He just clicked something in my brain and it made sense. And I'm trying to do a little video. But yeah, it's not me speaking about it. It's just like an animation type thing.
Yay!
Because I've been having problems with the internet. I've not really been able to download any pictures or anything like that to put on the movie maker, I think it is. Anyway, digressing here, sorry. But yeah, I was just thinking actually while I was making a cup of tea, can't remember what one now. Anyway, somebody went, and I was just thinking, you know how they say we've got the sunrise, the sunset. How come if we're on a ball we never say moonrise or moonset? It just, I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm a bit thick, but why don't we say the same thing to the moon as we do the sun?
Stan?
Well, you do, it's just you have to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how language. It's just a less common term for sure, but language is an interesting thing. There's all kinds of things we say in our language too that I see all the time. That the origins of the sayings, where they came from, and people say things all the time. They really don't know what they're referring to, and it's just a phrase that's kind of into the language itself.
I mean, I know that there's no such thing as a sunrise and a sunset, but how we've never ever mentioned a moonrise or a moonset. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway,
Well,
I'll leave that with you.
It's probably part of the whole mind control. They try to indoctrinate us with certain words, certain phrases, and that's why they probably don't want us to see the moon as rising and setting. There's probably something behind it.
Can I just say one thing on that? I don't know whether Stan will agree with me, but sometimes the moon sort of just appears in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it does for everyone. If you're
what I mean
if you're
it's not appearing at sort of horizon level. It just, for me, it just comes. It's just 1 minute it's not there, and the next minute it could be outside my window.
So
yeah, will be probably very. I seen a lot of sunsets and a sunrise in videos, but I never seen a moonrise and a moonset.
I've seen the red moon.
I've got one on my channel. I put it up the
If
you want to check that out. Really nice moon.
All right, cool.
It's, over the sea and some lighthouse. It's something you don't see,
right,
but it also explains, you get the red shift, you get the lights getting slowed down or whatever. It's got more atmosphere to travel through. That's why you get red sunsets, red Yeah, when pretty much when the sun's towards the horizon or any luminary, it goes a red tint due to the atmosphere, or at least it's slowing it down. Yeah, whatever is moving.
All right.
Yeah. I guess
I'm going to check out that video of your moonrise. Very interesting indeed.
But like you said, Karen, stuff seems to just seem to appear out of nowhere, and it's like stars. They've got, I think it's 15 degrees or something. But mostly, yeah, it's mostly due to, I guess, there's fog or atmospheric conditions. You know, you get the really dense layer of clouds.
I just wondered on that point just there, Chris, would you explain what you think the morning star is?
The morning star. Well, I had noticed when I was doing some modeling of atmospherics that depending on the angle of the sun, when the sun is actually setting or just before the sun is rising, actually, the software I'm using will actually automatically render what looks like a morning star because of the refraction in the actual plane, right in the particles. Right? So if the sun is rising on the horizon, then it's got just the right angle. The star will appear before the sun rises, and the star will actually seem to. It kind of does its own bit of a rise, and then just disappears as the sun comes up. It just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just food for thought to think that maybe some of the stars and maybe the morning star. They say it's Venus as well too, but
see, I've been watching this. I've been sitting up all night watching the sun come up, and then I've been watching that real bright star, and I just presumed it was Venus, Yeah. But it's just in front of the sun, and then it's sort of there, and then it's gone again.
Then it's gone, yeah. So I'm wondering if the guys that are really into watching that in the morning and stuff, because I've noticed I went out one morning and I saw you could actually see Venus and the moon, and the Venus you could see with the naked eye that it was actually in crescent form, right? You could tell that it was a crescent, same as the moon, and so then when you look at the morning star, well, you say, well, then Venus can't be that bright to be actually the morning star. So I'm wondering if the morning star might actually be a refraction of the sun itself. And then that's why you see it there. But it's only in certain times of the year at certain angles. And then it just disappears as the sun comes up, it disappears. So something to keep an eye on.
I didn't see it this weekend, but I saw it last week.
I saw it yesterday or this morning. It was really bright.
Yeah, more food for thought.
Sorry, Turquoise Dragon might watch that one now. Something else to look at, Turquoise.
Oh yeah. No, well, last night I was looking towards the west and I checked my stellarium. I was like, what is that? Is it a plane? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it Superman? So I'm going on stellarium and I'm like, oh, the ISS. So I quickly run. I'm like, quick. And it was just flying towards me, right? I was like, Venus. Can't be Saturn, that's like south at this time. Could be Jupiter or Venus. So I'm looking through my camera and I got some crazy stuff. I've just better jack my camera in and just upload something new. But yeah, it's just, we can't really trust our optics. I'll just give you that much.
Last night,
mirrors.
The ISS, was that going west to east?
Yeah.
I got it. on the P900, just looks like a square. Because I was like, what is that? And grabbed the camera and then started filming and managed to zoom in. But I was where it was so fast, I was so shaky on it. And I come in, watched the footage and paused it, and it just looked like a square.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing, you couldn't make anything out. I was just like, what is that? But yeah, that's what it must have been, the ISS, because I've seen it a couple of times now.
Almost like it. What was weird is I was just looking at this first object and I was like, what's this? Found out it was Jupiter. And then I'm looking again, I'm like, it's moving. So I go back on Stellarium and then it shows the ISS. I'm like, right, it must be that. But that only takes like half a minute to fly over. It's really quick. You don't see it for long. So it can't be that. And then I zoom in. I mean, it's almost like either one or the other turned into a plane and started heading towards me. I'm like filming it. I'm like, this is a pretty big plane. Like it's a big glider kind of thing. So I was like, I haven't heard anything about the ISS being brought down yet, but it's in the pipeline, isn't it? But yeah, I'll try and find that.
Well, they do say it's a sort of plane, don't they? You can go onto YouTube and find videos with them saying it's a plane.
No, what I see was just a light in the sky. It just looked like a light, a constant. It wasn't a plane. It was a I've got the video. It's real shaky, but I can upload it and share it. You know. But yeah, it was.
I had a few of my friends around at the time, and I literally ran into the room, grabbed one of the reds, and was like, "Dude, look out the window, right? Like, look. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" And I was like, one at a time.
Is it bright for you?
One at a time.
Was it bright for you?
That one in the west, yeah. No, honestly, and as it was in the lower half, it was like rainbow coloured, you know, like Sirius is.
Yeah, that's what it was doing for me. Exactly the same. But like I say, when I managed to zoom in with the P900, it was just as cute.
Oh man, you want to see this? If I can show you, it's crazy.
What, are you going to show us something?
I thought, what the hell? It's just like Sirius when I watched it back, like the colour change. It's like a hologram.
Yeah.
Stan, sorry. FPV Angel's off saying he can stabilise shaky footage, so you might want to get in touch with him, mate.
Yeah, I'll send you the. I've got it. We can chat on Skype. He's got me on Skype. Sure.
Can I just say if Turquoise Dragon's going to show us something? Patricia, did you want to go? Because she's stuck here now.
I'm not stuck here. I'm listening to you, but yeah.
You can't go.
Oh.
Do you want to go, or do you want to just stay? Because we're not going on forever. I'm just going to go through a few things. We're sort of starting to round up now in a way.
I'll wait till end then. I'm not a quitter.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. Okay then. Sorry, Turquoise, you're going to show us something?
Yeah, I'm just ripping it off the, downloading it off the camera now. Just
okay, you tell us when you're ready. Series, you can sum up tonight then. Did you have a good evening, Series? Quite quiet for you.
Yeah, but a little bit noisy in the background for me right now.
Oh. Anyway, did you enjoy this evening then?
Yeah, for sure. I'm already thinking of kind of botnets of drones.
Oh, I see your mind's now thinking in drone form. How
you can actually measure the perspective bubble, and I can actually through the 360 view double one up and down or left and right, maybe the 6 directions, etc., and then just see how far it actually is before your bubble actually reaches is beyond the start, so you can't see it anymore. And then when it actually touches each other again, and then then you can actually perceive measure their actual perspective bubble. And if you ask me, this is kind of Flower of Life related the same. But yeah, it has to come out of the reality first.
Oh, thank you, Series. Dee, I know you joined a little bit late, but your comments on today?
Yeah, no, this is something I'm excited about. Like I said, when Chris first started talking about this drone platform, I immediately asked about a man-sized one. So, like I say, for me, it's all very exciting, and hopefully, it will lead towards manned drones rather than just rockets and cameras.
Yeah, maybe we're going to remember Chris for other things as well. Thanks for that, Dee. Anyway, what's your comments, Chris?
Well, I just look forward to carrying on and hopefully see this project come to a fruition and other projects in the future. Onward and upward, as they say. It's been a great hangout, and it was nice to talk to Jeremy and Martin in person as well. It was very cool.
Well, have you not spoken to him before, Chris, Martin Liedtke?
I might have been on a hangout with him briefly earlier, but it's the first time I've ever talked to Jeremy in person. Yeah. So, and he's been on my Facebook friends, and we've chatted back and forth via Facebook and Messenger for a year or two now. But that's the first time I've seen his face in person. Yeah, like on video. So it's been awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, very cool.
The family gets bigger.
Yeah, very cool.
And it must be exciting now. Like you've been sort of sitting on your drawings. You're starting to talk about it now.
Yeah, no, it is exciting to get it out there and open source it and let it go. I think that's going to be a key to our development in the future is to stick to that open source concept and let things go where they want to go and let it be itself. And the truth will come out of that no matter what. Yeah, the group think and the we thing, right? Yeah, just let it be what it'll be, right?
Sounds good.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Artist?
Just a second, yeah. Again, there's always a very interesting discussion with all kinds of topics. It's always very interesting, this group, what people have to bring to the plate. And I'm learning every time I'm learning new things and new insights. So it's always very educative.
Oh, it's always great to have you on as well, Artist.
Thanks.
Turquoise, do you want to show your video now?
Yeah, I can do. I will do. Okay, so this was last night. If someone wants to present, I'm not sure it's 100% for everyone. Okay, so this is in the western sky. I just thought it was a planet once, or at least Venus, because I kind of know the positions this time of year. Then I zoom in, see it shift. It's almost like it's a weird octahedron thing, and the lens and the focus seem to reshape it whenever I look at that. I'm guessing it was Jupiter, but just kind of picking up the rings, but not focusing properly. But then when I did focus, I could kind of change its shape. You're all seeing that. It's definite. There's a definite shape. I'll try and show you some images.
You've got a couple more to show us.
I do, yeah. I'll just be a quick second.
Dan, do yours look like that then?
Mine's well, I'm just uploading it, so FPV can have a look. But yeah, mine's just like a bright light in the sky that's just traveling super quick. It was so hard to keep it in the frame, I was just moving the tripod constantly, trying to keep it in shot where I was zoomed in, trying to zoom in as well. It was just I couldn't do it. It was just too quick. People that have got a picture of if that's the ISS, I don't know how they're doing it.
Was yours the same then, Turquoise? Was yours moving really quick?
Yeah. Ooh. I was crossed between two objects that I was seeing, one being I think Jupiter and one an ISS, and also a third could have been a plane, just kind of to put me off in the middle. But I was kind of getting a shape like this. That's Venus in both of them. Do this again, sorry. But if you've seen this shape before, yeah, so this is what it was focusing on. I've got a video of this moving, but I mean, that's just a lens focusing issue. So you can't really trust your optics. We're only relying on sensors and light. So like any kind of distortion, it's all distortion, but we're just after less distortion. So I don't know how that works, but that's what we need to do. So well, that's all science is. You just have a really chaotic like environment, and you just kind of slim its variables down so you can kind of understand what's going on. But,
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to cancel out the collimation effect, right? The collimation and lensing, and sometimes it's really hard to get a clear image.
I've just screenshotted the video. Let me just put this in frame. I'm pretty sure it must be the ISS looking at it. Where's the Hangout? If I post it in the Hangout.
That's all last night, is it? Oh, excuse me.
That's crazy. So that's not what I see.
I caught the same thing last year on with a cell phone going over Canada, headed towards the UK.
So I've shared a picture in the Hangout of what I see. If someone wants to share it.
Oh, have we finished now? Have we finished showing pictures?
Oh no, I've shared one in the Hangout, but someone else.
Oh,
I've never shared nothing, so I don't want to give the link away or anything like that.
Series, will you just share what Stan's put in the chat room then?
I've just screenshotted the screen, so I don't know what was that. All sorts.
Thanks for that, Turquoise Dragon.
But I've just put the video on. I've just literally paused the video and took a screenshot. It does look like that. It's meant to be the ISS.
You definitely do get a chromatic aberration, though. I've noticed that. You just look at all the lens aberrations. Soon learn quite a lot of the better lenses once you've done that. All the different commas and. Because you're working with a convex or a concave, well, mostly convex to concave lens. So you can have distortion of like converging light coming from all angles, and just the way it works. So you can never really trust your optics, even your eyes, really. You've all seen those, you've all seen them like illusions, hypnotic illusions, perspective illusions. We can easily be deceived by our senses. But one of the biggest ones is why don't I feel like I'm moving? Their answer is, well, it's constant. Okay. I don't know what to say about that, but that's the answer, isn't it? Because it's constant.
What they show though isn't constant though, is it?
Well, it shouldn't do if Earth's supposedly got like a slightly elliptical orbit, or if anything, slightly off kilter. It's gonna if you say you've got like a bearing or you've got like a cog or anything. If it's slightly off balance and you spin that on an axis, it won't take long before it damages itself. You know, it's gonna be out of balance. It's gonna be like a Geneva, what they call Geneva? A Maltese cross kind of like sprocket or whatever, if you've ever seen one of those.
There are Z proxies in the chat. Is that the ISS? It'll tell you. So that's what went over, and it went west to east. It's the only thing that I've seen. I've seen it before, and I thought, what the hell was that? And that's why I've been sort of watching out for it. You know, I've not been looking at any tracker for it or anything, but I just all of a sudden looked up, and it was like, that's that thing again. Right, where's my camera?
Yeah, well, I don't know, like the ISS or whatever goes east-west, the west-east or whatever. But there's another one, I think it's the Chinese one, goes north to south. I'm just trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, I've seen stuff go north to south. If you sit out there long enough, you can see all sorts of things moving this way and that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to explain their orbits with that or whatever. But
There's a question from Time in the chat room. She says, anyone on the panel know of the satellite outages from early sun transits from the north to south, 20th of February to 20th of April, and then south to north, August the 20th to October the 20th, for 12 minutes each day, question mark, question mark. I don't know if anybody can answer that.
I think that's the one I was just talking about, the north to south one.
well, so I've not even looked into them. I was just like, what was that? Where's my camera? I was out there filming the moon, you know, just getting ready. I was like sat there thinking, oh, I don't know, it's real cloudy, and you know, and then, but if you watch my video from yesterday, it's just the moon in the clouds. So, and then, yeah, I see that. I turned around and it was like, oh, go and grab my camera. Like,
I can't show them right now because it will take me too long, and we're supposed to sort of be winding down on the hangout now because we'll have to end soon because we have been going for 3 3/4 hours now. It's been brilliant, but yeah. But I saw something in the air, and it was sort of like a helicopter, but it caught my attention, and I took these pictures, and all these weird shapes were on it. I'll send them to you later, Stan.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I send them to you?
Just on the
Can I do that on the chat thing we do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can send them there. I'll send them there. I can probably send them to you as well, Turquoise Dragon. Weird thing in the sky that was. Mm-hmm. As many people as possible. We're going to end the hangout now. As many people as possible on the hangout. You've got to come back for the end of code before we go, because we're all leaving now. We talk for a little bit afterwards if you want to stay on the panel. Thank you so much, everybody in the chat room. And thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been a very exciting evening. Something new to talk about. Yeah, who's coming back then? Dee?
Hey, Karen, can I just ask if I'm going to start
in chat a bit
this, for anyone else who wants to join. I was waiting until we close this one up before I get it going, obviously, but yeah, just continuation on, I guess, geometry and magnetism and all that good stuff happening on my channel after this. So feel free to join. I'll put the link in.
Well, I hope everybody in the chat room got that. To go to Turquoise Dragon's channel. So much for coming on today, Turquoise Dragon. Thank you so much, Stan.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Artist, thank you so much. It's been a really great hangout. Thanks to everyone.
And if I just say FPV, I'm just posting that link in the Skype chat, in the group chat, so you can have a look and see what you can do.
Good night, all.
Nice one.
Love you all.
Till we do it again, and we'll be back. Of course, you'll be back, Stan, and Turquoise Dragon as well as everyone else. Thank you so much. We're back tomorrow. The subject tomorrow is eclipses. Anyway, thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye.